Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. We have midweek League Cup action tonight as we have a repeat of last year's final as Manchester United face Newcastle United at Old Trafford. The Red Devils come into this game off the back of a 3-0 battering from their local rivals Manchester City. Before that, Ten Hag's men had gone three wins in a row by beating Brentford, Sheffield United and scraping past Copenhagen. For Newcastle, their recent form is slightly mixed. They have seen 5 games gone and they've picked up 2 wins against PSG and Crystal Palace, both at home, drawing twice within those 5 and also losing at home to Dortmund in the Champions League. Only 4 points separated these two sides in the Premier League last season, with Manchester United finishing in 3rd, whilst Newcastle took the last Champions League spot in 4th. Tonight on the 8:15 kickoff, it will be the 182nd meeting between these two prestigious English sides. For Man United, they will be searching for a 92nd victory, where Newcastle will look for a win of number 45, but it would be their first since December 2013 at the home of Manchester United. So, for this League Cup 4th round tie, which finalists from last season will make it to the quarter-finals? It's a game where I think both will want to win, but I don't think either are too bothered. It's a strange one. If you look at both lineups on both sides, it's heavily rotated and heavily confusing. The Newcastle starting 11 really had my brain thinking of who's playing where and everything. It's quite a mixed lineup from both sides, but definitely more so for Newcastle. It is a real mix-up of squad players and just trying to get those first teamers rested as much as possible. We'll go through both teams in more detail as we are just under 8 minutes from kickoff. We've got other League Cup action as well tonight, or Carabao Cup action, whichever you'd like to call it. I'll be calling it the League Cup. We had 2 games yesterday where Port Vale and Middlesbrough have gone through to the quarterfinals. Port Vale beat Mansfield away 1-0 and Middlesbrough beat Exeter away also 3-2. Currently in the 40th minute, West Ham lead Arsenal 1-0. Chelsea Blackburn in the 24th minute is 0-0. Bournemouth Liverpool in the 23rd minute is 0-0, and Everton have gone 1-0 up against Burnley in the 22nd minute, and Ipswich trail to Fulham at home in the 22nd minute. So I'll keep you updated with those scores throughout tonight as this game unfolds at Old Trafford. If you are new, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll go through teams now. The League Cup draw is meant to be at 11:15, so I don't think I'll be sticking around for that. So once the game ends, I kind of end the stream, and then the draw is usually made on YouTube anyway, so you'll be able to find it and watch it and see what quarterfinals are created. We're going to get one of the finalists knocked out tonight. This was the final of last season at Wembley, where it did end 2-0 to Manchester United. 2 first half goals pretty much back to back. Casemiro header in the 33rd minute and then a Rashford deflected strike in the 39th minute was enough for Ten Hag to get his first trophy as Manchester United manager, and his only one as of yet for the Red Devils. But let's go through both sides now in a little bit more detail, and we'll start with the home side as Andre Onana continues playing every single game so far this season for Manchester United. This is his 15th appearance in all competitions, looking to try and keep his 5th clean sheet. A back 4 of Diogo Dalot, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire and a returnee Sergio Reguilon, who was out for 5 games before entering as a substitute in the Manchester derby in the second half. Captain tonight is going to be number 18, Casemiro, who was one of the goal scorers in the League Cup final last season back in late February. Playing alongside him is going to be Hannibal Mejbri, who spent last season on loan at Birmingham. He's got the 1 start so far this season that came away at Burnley, and he's also scored 1 goal so far this season, and that was in the Premier League in a 3-1 defeat to Brighton. And as a 3 behind the striker on the right is going to be Anthony, signed for £85 million last season. Not quite living up to the hype of that market, that price tag that he was bought for. but he will be on the right-hand side. On the left is going to be Alejandro Garnacho, who's only started 2 Premier League games so far this season, and they were the opening 2 against Wolves and Spurs. And he did score, though, in their last game in the League Cup, the 3-0 home win to Crystal Palace. He scored to make it 1-0 in the 21st minute. And in behind the striker is going to be number 7, Mason Mount. A slow start to his Manchester United career. He's yet to score for his new club, Mason Mount, after being injured 5 games through September and through August and September. So he's had a few injury issues, just not quite hit the mark yet in a red shirt, but I'm sure tonight he'll see this as a big opportunity to try and get his United career underway and leading the line. Looking for his 90th goal for Manchester United is Anthony Martial. He's got the 1 goal also this season, and that came in the League Cup as well. He made it 3-0 against Crystal Palace in round 3, and the bench is at Altay Bayindir. Aaron Wan-Bissaka returns after missing the last 9 through a hamstring injury. Johnny Evans also makes his way on the bench after a bit of a horror show against Manchester City. Sofian Amrabat, Scott McTominay, Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes, the midfield options, and the more attacking options, the forward line, is Marcus Rashford on the bench. He's only got the 1 goal so far this season. He's struggling to meet the form he did last year, and Rasmus Højlund is also on the bench. Only the 3 goals so far for him this season. They all came in the Champions League after scoring against Bayern Munich and twice, I believe, against Galatasaray. So that's the United bench for Newcastle. It is a very heavily rotated side. Only 5 starters from that win against Manchester City in the 3rd round, and only 3 survive from the start after their 2-2 draw at the weekend against Wolves. So in net is former Manchester United goalkeeper Martin Dubravka. He spent last year on loan at Manchester United, and both of his appearances for the club were in the League Cup. Right back is going to be Tino Livramento, who was bought for £32 million in the summer from Southampton. 2 centre-backs, who are usually full-backs, of Emil Kraft and Paul Dummett, with a left-back of Matt Targett, who played the full 90 minutes in their last round against Manchester City. Midfield 3, I believe. Again, I'm going to have to just have a look when the game begins. But we're going to have Joe Willock, who returns, making his 3rd appearance of the season. He was returning from a hamstring injury picked up in May of last season. He's making his first start of the new campaign. Sean Langstaff, in the captain tonight, making his 150th appearance for Newcastle, his boyhood club. He starts with the armband. He was out for their last game against Manchester City in the 3rd round. And in the midfield is also going to be number 7, Joe Linton as well, who started the last 2 Premier League games, as he was injured for the first 2 Champions League games, where he did miss out minutes against AC Milan and PSG. And we're going to believe on the left-hand side it's going to be Lewis Hall, who's also making only his 2nd start of the season. They've both come in the League Cup against City and United. On the right, we're going to go for Matt Ritchie, the 34-year-old Scotsman. He's making his 199th appearance for Newcastle, nearly getting into the 200 landmark for him for this club. He was signed in July of 2016 for Bournemouth, and leading the line, we believe, again, not too sure. We're going to have to wait and see when the game kicks off, but we're going to believe it is going to be number 10, Anthony Gordon. He's got a lot of pace. The 22-year-old winger, he's got 3 goals so far this season, all in the Premier League, coming up against Liverpool, Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. He's already nearly bettered his goal tally for last season. He got 4 last season in all competitions, 3 for Everton before making the switch to Newcastle in January, where he only got the 1 goal for Newcastle last season, and that was on the last day of the season in a 1-1 draw away at Chelsea. And the bench is going to be Loris Karius, who did start and play in that League Cup final last season. He's on the bench with Kieran Trippier, Jamal Lascelles and Dan Burn as the defensive options. The midfield option really is only Bruno Guimaraes, with the attacking options of Miguel Almiron, 18-year-old Ben Parkinson in the squad for the first time in the first team, the 18-year-old right winger. Also same for the left winger on the bench, Amadou Diallo. He's at the age of 20. It's his first ever time on a first team squad for Newcastle. And their striker, their backup striker, is Alexander Isak, is injured, but Callum Wilson is still fit. He's got 7 goals this season, all of them so far in the Premier League, and scored 3 in his last 2 in the Premier League. So he is on the bench as an option. They haven't got an out-and-out striker, really, Newcastle. Obviously, Joe Linton was once a number 9, but he was converted by Eddie Howe into more of a central midfield player, which is, I find very impressive how Joe Linton has been turned into such a, key player in the Newcastle machine in that midfield. as we're about to get underway at Old Trafford. It'll be Manchester United kicking left to right, Newcastle right to left. Once the game kicks off and gets going, I'll let you know as soon as who's playing where. For Newcastle, more so, we kind of know where United players are going to be playing, but definitely more so for Newcastle, as it is United to kick us off at Old Trafford. It'll be Newcastle attacking the Stretford end in the first half, as it's with Sergio Reguilon at left back for Manchester United. High press already from Newcastle. Lindelof goes into the 6-yard box for Onana to clear with his left boot. Down the United right-hand side, where Livramento wins a header on Garnacho, helped on by the head of Longstaff. It's headed away by Reguilon, brought down by Garnacho into Casemiro, United captain tonight, who goes back to the edge of his 18-yard box to Victor Lindelof, who goes across to Maguire into the path of Casemiro, who then dinks it out wide right to right back Diogo Dalot. All right, mate, come on, Newcastle. Yeah, who do we think is going to win? It's going to be an away win for Newcastle to try and make up for their defeat in the League Cup final to United last season, or will United carry on a decent record they've got against Newcastle? They haven't won at this ground, Newcastle, since December 2013. Only one win, I believe, at Old Trafford since 1973. So they really don't like coming here, Newcastle. They haven't got the greatest of records. As on the ball, we've had a free kick given away on number 13, Matt Targett. I think it was a high challenge on halfway from Hannibal for Manchester United. We know the young Tunisian can be quite aggressive in his tackles, the number 46, making only his 5th start in his career for Manchester United, a club he joined from Monaco in 2019. So Matt Targett has stayed down here. It's his 3rd start of the season for Matt Targett. He played the full 90 minutes against Manchester City, and he also started in their away defeat to Brighton in the Premier League. The ball was chested down. Let's have a look here. Oh, he was caught by Martial, not Hannibal. I do apologise, on halfway. But I don't think it was the contact that caused the injury. I think he may have tweaked a muscle there, Matt Targett, because the contact from Martial from behind, it kind of just scraped, kind of lower down his leg, but he's holding the right hamstring, I believe. I'd have to see another replay, but I don't think it's the contact that's caused the injury. I think this is a slight muscle tweak, so we may see an early change here for Newcastle, and that's something they don't want because they've already rotated heavily, Newcastle, with the fact they've got Arsenal at the weekend and then they've got Dortmund away next midweek in a week's time. So they've got 2 huge games coming up, Arsenal at home and Dortmund away. And I do think they're going to have to make a change. And it's not even 3 minutes in. And they're going to be calling upon Paraguayan Miguel Almiron, who's featured in every game so far in all competitions this season for Newcastle. He's got the 3 goals so far, 2 of them in the Premier League in game 6 and 7 against Sheffield United and Burnley, and also got the opener against PSG. He's getting a few instructions off the bench there from club captain Jamal Lascelles, Miguel Almiron, and I do believe Targett has pulled a hamstring. Yes, there was contact from Martial on the halfway line. It was a foul, but I think he's also stretched for the ball, Targett, which has caused the pulled muscle. And just over 3 minutes in, Matt Targett is going to be coming off for Miguel Almiron, as now he gets some instructions from head coach Eddie Howe. As on that halfway line, the ball goes across by Lewis Hall, header won by Lindelof, down the line to Garnacho, who lays it back off to Lindelof in the left-back area for Manchester United in their defensive third. He goes forward in that wide left to Reguilon. Now Mount back to Lindelof, and Mount gets the return and lays it off into Casemiro, who goes out to the right to Dalot, who passes the halfway line into the Newcastle half, plays it forward to Anthony, who's met by the challenge of Lewis Hall, goes inside to Casemiro, and then back out to Dalot, who was caught in an offside position midway inside the Newcastle half, and it will be a free kick for the away side. And I do believe they'll make the change here. So I think Lewis Hall was meant to be playing out wide, which you can see on screen, but he can play left back. So I believe Lewis Hall is going to drop into left back and Miguel Almiron will go out wide, as Matt Targett very slowly departs the stadium into the dugout, down the tunnel. So Lewis Hall drops into left back. Joe Linton, Longstaff and Willock seem like the midfield 3. So it might be Matt Ritchie on the left-hand side now and Miguel Almiron to play on his more natural right-hand side. As Dummett for Newcastle in the left-back area goes down the line to Almiron, who's been found on the left side here, cleared by Casemiro to go all the way through to Dubravka, who sees it out for a goal kick there as he was being pressed by Hannibal Mejbri. So Almiron was on the left wing there, so it might be that Matt Ritchie will stay on the right-hand side, and it'll be Almiron on the left. As the Slovakian Martin Dubravka will have this goal kick for Newcastle, who've been forced into an early change and another injury that they just simply don't need, as the goal kick goes up towards Anthony Gordon, finds Joe Linton on halfway, loses out now to Mount, who turns in the centre circle and gets out wide right to Anthony. He's got Dalot overlapping, and he'll play it forward and into the gap, looking for the Portuguese international. It's just slightly overhit, and it'll run through for a Newcastle throw-in in their defensive third, so United can push up the field here. There's Lewis Hall, who's now to drop into left-back, will have the throw-in. Signed for a hefty fee on loan. Lewis Hall, £35 million fee at the end of the loan spell, at the end of the season for the number 20, as he throws it down the Newcastle left. Header won by Maguire, picked up by Anthony as he kicks it off Joe Linton, and it'll be a throw-in this time for the home side. As we're yet to have a chance in this game. It's Maguire on halfway, goes back into his own half here with number 2. Victor Lindelof, who's been forced back into his 18-yard box with Andre Onana, who will be pressed quickly here by Anthony Gordon, but he clears it up the field beyond the halfway line. Header won by Longstaff on Martial, but the header goes out to the United left to Alejandro Garnacho. And we're midway inside the United half here with Victor Lindelof on the ball, who will be pressed here by Matt Ritchie from the Newcastle right. He goes back to Maguire, who goes out wide left to Reguilon, who takes it in front of Joe Linton, pulled back by the Brazilian. And it'll be a free kick just inside their own half here. Robert Jones, the referee for tonight, to challenge Joe Linton. No more of that. Just got the touch in front of the Brazilian, and then he just had a pull of his arm there. Newcastle's number 7. As from the replay, we've found the ball kicked long into the Newcastle box, looking for Hannibal, but it's gone right through for a goal kick instead. Must have been a ball forward by Casemiro, as that's who the camera has panned to. But it'll be a goal kick for Newcastle, who've got injuries with Botman, Barnes, Isak as well. Out the matchday squad today for Newcastle is Nick Pope, Fabian Schär, Sven Botman, Anderson, Murphy, Barnes, Isak, who's got 7 goals in 12 this season for Newcastle. Some big names left out, some injured, some more for rotation. As I mentioned before, some big games coming up for Newcastle, with Arsenal at home at the weekend, then Dortmund away, as Dubravka's goal kick has gone straight out of play for a United throw-in just in front of their technical area on this near side. Thrown down the line by Dalot, cut out by Lewis Hall. Another throw-in for United just inside the opposition half. As Dalot has it, goes down the line to Martial, touches heavy, falls back to Dalot, who's then tackled by Joe Willock on the Newcastle left. Ball inside now to Gordon, lays it off to Lewis Hall, who will go across the back line to Emil Kraft, making his first appearance of the season, the Swede. As he goes across to Dummett, midway inside the Newcastle half. He goes out wide left here to Lewis Hall. He's going to cut inside, and he's looking back towards his own goal here, and he's forced to go back to Dubravka after the press from Anthony. Clipped out wide right now. Good ball to Livramento, who missed pretty much all of last season due to an ACL injury for Southampton in their relegation season, as he's been forced back towards the corner flag, and he's been dribbled out of play. Livramento, he was being heavily pressured by Garnacho, and he forced him out of play, as the throw-in's now gone to Mount. He goes back to the halfway line now with Victor Lindelof, as Manchester United keep possession of the football. Dalot, he goes back into his 18-yard box with a ball to Cameroon international Onana, who looks to be set to be going to the African Cup of Nations in the winter, where he'll miss 7 games apparently for Manchester United, which is a big blow. This is with Casemiro in the midfield, back to Lindelof, 10 yards away from the halfway line, and they're now in the Newcastle half with Reguilon, who goes across against Casemiro. He wants to get it out wide right with a big switch towards Anthony, who heads it into his path, and he brings it down nicely, the Brazilian, who can't quite get beyond Lewis Hall, who wins it back for Newcastle in the left-back area. Now Joe Willock swings it out wide right, looking for Matt Ritchie, who will have to sprint out there to keep it in play, and he does do so, and he gets there, tries to play it down the right-hand side towards a on-rushing Livramento, but it's cut out by Manchester United. But the deflection off the United man goes back into Newcastle possession. As again, we've yet to have a big chance so far, just about to hit the 10th minute here at Old Trafford. As in the other games, we've got West Ham leading Arsenal 1-0 at half-time. Chelsea have took a 1-0 lead at home to Blackburn. Liverpool 1-up away at Bournemouth. Everton 1-up against Burnley. And Fulham still have the lead away at high-flying Ipswich in the Championship. As Almiron forced back towards his own goal, just about keeps it moving to dumb it after a slight tackle on him from Diogo Dalot. As we're midway inside the Newcastle half, it's Emil Kraft with a ball over the top, looking for Anthony Gordon, nodded down by Lindelof into the path of Reguilon, who will then play it back to the edge of the 18-yard box here to Lindelof as United regain possession here. As Manchester United do have 3 wins in the last 5 in the Premier League. The 2 losses in those 5 both came at home to Palace and Manchester City. They currently sit 8th in the league on 15 points. Newcastle in 6th, 2 points better off with 17. 50% win rate for Newcastle in the Premier League. 5 wins from their first 10 as Onana clears long. Header won by Livramento on halfway. Brought down with a Cruyff turn by Joe Willock. But he loses out to Mason Mount, who then is tackled by Longstaff. And it's now Joe Linton in the centre circle. Just inside the United half. He goes to his right to Longstaff. Forward to Gordon. Out wide right looking for Willock. He just about gets there ahead of Garnacho. It's now with Livramento at right back for Newcastle. Midway inside the United half. It's Joe Willock. Going forward here to Gordon. Slight tackle there by Mount. But it falls to Livramento, who gets it forward to Willock, who's just strayed in an offside position. And it'll be a free kick for Manchester United in the left back area. So still deep within their own half here, Manchester United. As I mentioned before, it's appearance number 150 for Sean Longstaff. He's picked up 11 goals for his boyhood club in those previous 149. He's got the 3 goals so far this season. Well, he scored twice in the Premier League and once in the Champions League against PSG at home. As Onana from this free kick. It's a big kick deep into the Newcastle half, and it'll be seen through straight through to Dubravka. It was towards the centre of the pitch there from Onana, and Anthony was the closest to it, but he didn't quite meet it, and Lewis Hall knew that he had loads of time to let the ball run past him, and into the hands of Dubravka is Joe Linton, plays out to right back Livramento. Here's Emil Kraft, pressured here by Anthony Martial, and the Frenchman takes it off him, right in the corner flag now for United, picking it up in a dangerous area, lays it off into Garnacho towards the byline. Is it kept in? It is. Cross to Anthony, lays it off to the edge of the box to Casemiro, who will let strike towards the bottom left corner. Simple save for Dubravka down low to his right. And that's, I think, the first shot of the game. It was well won by Anthony Martial, high up in the pitch. And then Garnacho did well to get the cross in before the ball had nearly snuck out of play. And the strike from Casemiro was a bit tame. Easy save for Dubravka, as Casemiro did make it 2-0 against Crystal Palace in the third round win, as Anthony Gordon just took the ball away from Lindelof there, but the Swedish international got back to recover and nicked the ball off Gordon as he was racing deep into the Manchester United half. As they peeled from the back here with Harry Maguire. Goes to his left to Onana in the 18-yard box. Clips it forward with his left boot looking for Martial. Can't win the header on Paul Dummett. And it's now Longstaff who heads it forward here to Almiron. But Hannibal is booked. As Longstaff won the header on Hannibal, he left a little bit on him there, the Tunisian. And Longstaff has stayed down, and Hannibal Mejbri has picked up a booking. The ball was there to be won, and Longstaff won it quite comfortably, and then just got shoved into there by Hannibal in the centre circle. So it'll be a yellow card for Hannibal Mejbri, who will miss the quarter-final. If United get there, he's picked up 2 bookings now. He obviously got one in the third round against Crystal Palace, and now one tonight. Longstaff is back to his feet. He won't want to come off injured on his 150th appearance for his boyhood club. As they've gone short with the free kick on the halfway line to Emil Kraft. Dummett goes forward to Willock, lays it off into Joe Linton, midway inside the United half. He works it out wide left to Hall, forward to Gordon, lays it off to Willock. Tries to go inside, he's been barged down by Casemiro, and it'll be a free kick for Newcastle. Casemiro, the captain tonight, questions the decision, but Robert Jones gives it. Just on the inside left position there, Willock, he nutmeg Casemiro, and then the arms are out from the Brazilian to stop Willock getting beyond him. It probably is a free kick there for Newcastle. On the left side, it's not far left. It's in line with the 18-yard box, but more out wide left. It's definitely not an angle and a distance to shoot, but Matt Ritchie will definitely fancy this for a cross to try and give Newcastle their first shot of the game. I don't think they've had a shot so far, the travelling side tonight. Yeah, just the one for Manchester United so far, and that was Casemiro just a couple minutes ago. Here's Matt Ritchie in swinger towards the far post. It's come off a Newcastle man first and then had to be helped away by Lindelof, and it'll be seen away for a corner. Newcastle definitely won the first contact, but it wasn't really towards goal. It was more towards Lindelof, who had to just help it behind for a corner, as Ritchie will put another ball into the box here, this time from the corner flag on the far side. So it'll be a in-swinger with his left boot. We know he's got a good delivery on him, Matt Ritchie, the Scotsman. As Newcastle have got their tallest players forward for this. It's an in-swinger towards the far post where Joe Linton just loses out there to Maguire. It'll drop to Martial in almost a right-back position here on the near side. Going back towards the corner flag, gets it inside to Casemiro, back out wide to Hannibal, who's met with a strong challenge from Lewis Hall, concedes the throw-in. There, the former Chelsea full-back, and it'll be a Manchester United throw-in. Not a great record away from home this season for Newcastle. Just the one win in all competitions away, and that was the 8-0 against Sheffield United. They've drawn 3 away from home to AC Milan, West Ham and Wolves, and they've lost twice away at the Etihad and the Amex to City and Brighton respectively. As Hannibal, another late challenge there. He's already been booked on the halfway line. Newcastle players are asking for it. He needs to be careful here. Like, I know it's only 17 minutes in, but I wouldn't be surprised if Hannibal is pulled off here by Ten Hag. It's on Emil Kraft there. It's another 50-50 where they can both win it, but it's a really late challenge. It was a short ball by Livramento to Emil Kraft. Kraft got there first, caught late by Hannibal. And to be honest, if Hannibal's not on a yellow card, he possibly picks one up there. So I think the referee's letting him off Robert Jones. We'll have to see if Hannibal can keep his cool, because he is on thin ice now. As we're with Newcastle on the ball, midway side their own half here with Emil Kraft, usually a full-back, but having to do a job here at centre-back due to the lack of depth Newcastle have currently got with players out and needing to rotate. As Dallo clears away a Lewis Hall clearance down the Newcastle left, headed away on the edge of the box by Dummett, drops to Joe Linton. His pass has been deflected back to Livramento, who hooks away towards the halfway line here for Joe Willock. Header won by Casemiro, brought down by Matt Ritchie, tackle by Reguilon. It's now out to Reguilon on the United left, just inside the Newcastle half, who's back to the halfway line here with number 2, Victor Lindelof, whose contract at United expires at the end of the season, but he does have a year extension option in his contract. Was on the bench for the final of the League Cup last season. They started with Varane and Martinez. This Garnacho is nearly pickpocketed by Livramento, but he gets away from the Newcastle right back. As Garnacho just keeps possession and goes back towards the halfway line to Lindelof. Forward to Casemiro. It's all on the far side here for Manchester United on their left. Casemiro dinking it towards the edge of the box to Mount. Header won by Emil Kraft, and it will drop to Joe Willock as he gets beyond Hannibal. Gordon's making a run forward. He's also got Almer onto his left. He needs to release it here, Joe Willock. No, he'll be caught again by Casemiro for a second time. And the Manchester United captain will not be booked. I didn't see a card come out. Trying to counter-attack there, Joe Willock, and he had 2 options with him. And he just didn't release it in time. And he's been brought down for a second time, and Casemiro's booked as well. That's 2 of United's midfield 3 on a booking. Hannibal booked about 5 minutes ago now, and now the captain Casemiro also on a yellow after catching Joe Willock late. So free kick for Newcastle. Bit further back this time. As Eric Ten Hag has definitely got some things to do. It's more inside this time. It's too far away for a shot. It's about 35 yards away from goal. Matt Ritchie's over it. Again, he'll probably just try and curl this one into the box. United have a high line, a couple of yards in front of the 18-yard line. Matt Ritchie plays it out wide left to Willock, who will then feed the overlap of Ritchie on a better angle now towards the byline. He needs to hook a cross in. He does do so. Digs one out to the far post where the head's won by Lindelof. It'll drop to the edge of the box towards Lewis Hall, where he'll lose out to Hannibal, who can't get away from Almiron. And it'll be back with Newcastle on the halfway line. Well won back there from the team in black and white, as Hannibal nearly nicked the ball away from them. As it's Livramento on the halfway line. It's now Joe Linton, 1-2 with Almiron. Great bit of skill from the Brazilian. Now they're looking left. Willock feeding Matt Ritchie. In the final third, he goes for an early cross. It's a high one, and it's overhit. And too much swing on it, and it'll go through from Manchester United throwing on the far side. Looking for Anthony Gordon, who's playing as the front man tonight, but just way overhit. He was never going to get there. Newcastle's number 10. He obviously had a great Euros for the under-21s. Anthony Gordon winning player of the tournament, as England did win the competition. He nearly nicks it away from Maguire in the 18-yard box, but he works it to left-back Reguilon, whose clearance comes off. Oh no. It comes off Longstaff, who's blocked the ball, and he's gone down after the block. I think the ball's cleared into his private area, so I think that's what's wrong with Longstaff. I don't think he's injured. Reguilon's clearance at left back, I think, just hits him where you don't really want the ball to hit you. So he's back on his feet, he's okay, and the throwing's been intercepted by the head of Joe Linton. Ritchie from afar will strike, and that is wild from around 22 yards out. Centre of the field. He let strike there, Matt Ritchie. Mount tried to let the ball come to him, but Joe Linton got there ahead of him. Literally dead centre on the pitch. He strikes with the left foot towards the top left corner, but I think he hit, what we're saying, row. Not going to be too mean. Not going to say row Z. Probably row, I don't know, N. It was quite high. Quite far over the bar from Matt Ritchie. As Manchester United have a goal kick here with Andre Onana in the all-green strip tonight. Clips it out to the left. He's brought down beautifully by Mason Mount as he drives past the halfway line on the United left. He goes forward, looking for Garnacho, cut out by Livramento. He'll play it to Joe Linton, forward to Ritchie. Livramento's ball inside will find Longstaff. As Newcastle keep it midway inside their own half with Paul Dummett, Newcastle's number 3. And ball in behind over the top here for Willock, and it finds him. He enters the box on the left side, trying to cut into his right, but he's tackled well by Hannibal and Maguire together. And United come out with the ball, with Casemiro playing it out wide left again to Mount. He just lost possession in this position. Can he keep it this time? He will, with a ball inside into the centre circle here for Casemiro as he enters the Newcastle half. And he'll play it to Diogo Dalot. Out wide right now to Anthony. First time ball inside to Martial. First time 1-2. And it's back to Anthony. He's met with a strong sliding challenge from Joe Willock. And the corner will be avoided by Paul Dummett. Cleared for a Manchester United throw-in as Willock seems to have hurt himself after that slide tackle that he did on Anthony. As United have it, with Lindelof surging forward, trying to play the ball forward, but it's intercepted and it deflects out to the right to Ritchie. He will go back to the edge of the 18-yard box for Newcastle. Now with number 3, Paul Dummett, who was born in Newcastle, signed a 1-year extension in July this year to see his time at the club till 2024. A club he joined in 2000, Paul Dummett, at the age of 9. And he's now at the age of 32. There's just some settled possession here for Newcastle. As the ball goes forward to Almiron, out wide left to Lewis Hall, midway inside his own half. He's been pressured here by Anthony as he tries to turn forward. He's been barged down by the Brazilian, but the referee sees no foul. And Lewis Hall eventually clears, but the whistle's gone for a free kick eventually. I thought he had to give it. He was being bombarded with pressure there from Anthony. Lewis Hall, whose dad and uncle grew up in the northeast for Lewis Hall, so he is a Newcastle supporter himself, also a good cricketer, I learnt when researching about Lewis Hall. But obviously must be better at the football, as Arsenal trail 2-0 away at West Ham in one of the other round 4 fixtures. As last season, Manchester United's run to the League Cup final, every game, bar the semi-final first leg, was at home. They beat Aston Villa in the third round 4-2 at home, then they beat Burnley 2-0 at home in the fourth round quarter-final. They beat Charlton at home 3-0. And then the semi-finals are 2 legs, so they had to beat Forest away 3-0 and then beat them at home 2-0. So they do like playing at Old Trafford in the Cups. It was also a similar run they had in the FA Cup as well, playing a lot of their games at home. Hall, ball inside for Gordon, trying to flick it out wide left to Almiron, but it's cut out by Dallo midway inside his own half. Anthony inside to Casemiro. Back it goes to Lindelof, who's looking for Reguilon at left back, and he'll find the Spaniard on loan from Spurs. Enters the Newcastle half. Ball inside to Martial, out wide left to Garnacho, who just miscontrolled the pass and ran out of room on the United left on the far side. And it'll be a Newcastle throw-in just inside their own half. Referee tonight is Robert Jones, first time referee in Manchester United this season. It's his second time refereeing Newcastle United. He refereed their 1-0 loss in Manchester at the Etihad to Manchester City. As Dubravka clears up the field for Newcastle. Header won by Mount, deflects off Longstaff to left back Reguilon. So United back in possession. Just inside their own half here with number 2 Victor Lindelof, who's played 6 times against Newcastle and he's yet to score. The central defender who's only got 3 goals for United in his previous 244 appearances. Victor Lindelof, as he's got the ball here on the halfway line, playing it short to Mount and then having the ball returned to him. As only 3 changes for United from their last League Cup lineup against Palace, where Varane's out injured, Amrabat's on the bench and Pellistri is also not available. As the ball goes down the right, looking for Dallo, who's charging forward in the final third. And it's won by Lewis Hall, cleared off Dallo for a Newcastle throw-in. Deep inside their own half here, so they've got some work to do, the away side. As Erik ten Hag, if they win tonight, will be picking up his 50th victory as Manchester United boss. As Hannibal wins the header on the throw-in, flipped forward by Mount into the 18-yard box where Martial wasn't there to chase, and it'll run right through for Dubravka in the Newcastle goal. A very stacked bench though tonight for Manchester United. Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Christian Eriksen, Scott McTominay, Sofiane Amrabat. It's Lewis Hall for Newcastle. Ball down the left channel and Almiron will get there and he will keep it in on the byline. On the near side towards the corner flag. Driving inside. Playing a ball to Gordon. He's just on the edge of the box. Hall forward from fullback. Tries the 1-2 with Willock. Cut out by Casemiro, who played short towards Dallo, and Gordon will take it off him. And just outside the 18-yard box, it's Newcastle still on the ball. In a dangerous position. It's Gordon on the left wing. Ball inside to Lewis Hall. Returns it to Gordon. Forward to Almiron. Hall inside. Can't find Joe Linton. Cut out by Hannibal. And it's with Lindelof on the edge of the 18-yard box. Forward and out wide left to Reguilon. He's got Garnacho in front of him in support. He'll go inside towards Martial instead. And it will get through towards the Frenchman. But it's cut out by Longstaff near the centre circle. And it's now back with Newcastle. With Gordon tackled from behind fairly by Harry Maguire. And Hannibal can bring it forward from the halfway line. Out wide left to Garnacho. Enters the final third. He's got Reguilon overlapping, but he's tackled very fairly by Livramento, who'll drive forward himself for Newcastle. Gets away from Hannibal and Mason Mount. Livramento, he's got the run of Gordon and Almiron. He'll find the Paraguayan in the box. He shoots for Newcastle and he scores. It's a fantastic counter-attack. Spearheaded by Livramento and finished by Almiron. It's really poorly given away by Manchester United as the Newcastle travelling supporters go wild at the opposite end of the stadium. Livramento, once he started, they just couldn't stop him. Hannibal didn't want to challenge as he's on a yellow card. Mount was too soft. And he just had loads of green grass to run into in the Manchester United half. Gordon made a run out to the right to create more of that space. And then in behind to the left was the ball available for Almiron, who was charging down the left. Dallo didn't trap the run. He's jogging back, Dallo. That's shocking defending. The ball was played through to Almiron. And he took one touch in his path. It was a really good touch. It was quite a heavy one, but one that was needed so he could burst past Dallo and be close enough to goal to let fly. And from literally 7 yards out, he strikes it across goal into the bottom right corner. And just under half an hour in, it's Manchester United 0, Newcastle 1, and that is a really bad goal to concede. Great goal for Almiron. Off the bench early for an injured Matt Targett. And he brings Newcastle a goal at Old Trafford. It's his second goal in the competition. His other one came at Morecambe, and now his second one's come at Old Trafford. So, quite the difference in terms of those 2 goals of where he scored them. But it's his 4th of the season. 2 in the Premier League, 1 in the Champions League, and now 1 in the League Cup. But it was so poorly given away by Garnacho. And Livramento went, and then he found Almiron as Lewis Hall's given away here. Casemiro, forward to Mount, 25 yards away from goal, plays it out wide to the left to Reguilon, who's got forward from left back. On the far side here, he goes further wide left to Garnacho, who takes on Livramento. Low ball into the near post where 6 yards out, Mount got there ahead of Emil Kraft and fires it wide of the goal. Decent response from United. Good skill from Garnacho to get away from Livramento. And then Mount beat Kraft to it. But fired wide. But Dallow's defending to not track the run of Almiron is absolutely criminal. He's going behind. He doesn't even check Dallow to see if he's there. He's just jogging back. And the gap through in behind. And Almiron's great touch in front of him to then strike from literally 7 yards out across goal. Onana, could he have come to close down the angle? Possibly. Stayed quite near to his line, which allowed Almiron to get the shot away. Dallow towards the byline, dinks it in towards Martial, comes off the hand of Mount, and the free kick's given. United working it down the right there. Dallow towards the byline. Was able to dig the cross out. He played it to Anthony, who then relayed it into Dallow, who'd made a run forward, getting away from Almiron. And then the cross goes on the 6-yard line towards Martial, whose header, he lets it go through. He went to head it, Martial, then left it towards Mount in the box, whose touch came off his arm, which was why the free kick was given against the former Chelsea midfielder. And it's Dubravka now to take the free kick. It's a long ball out to the Newcastle left, looking for Joe Linton, who flicks it on towards Almiron. Which just goes beyond the Paraguayan and the goal scorer, and he'll go for a United throw-in midway inside their own half here with number 20, Diogo Dallo, who played 45 minutes of the League Cup final before being hooked off at half-time due to getting a yellow card in the 9th minute of that one. So Wan-Bissaka played the second 45. That's Casemiro to right back Dallo. He has to go back to his own goal to Onana, who clears it first time left-footed into the centre circle inside his own half where Joe Linton can bring it down, but he's dispossessed by Mount, whose touch is heavy. Then it's cleared off of Mount by Emil Kraft, then drops to Garnacho on the left, very fortunately for United, but great slide challenge from Livramento to take the ball away from Garnacho and then play it for his legs to Longstaff. And then it's cleared by Emil Kraft off Mason Mount, throwing for Newcastle in their defensive third here, so some work to do to get it away from their own goal. It has been a very evenly contested first 33 minutes, but to win the possession back from Livramento and just run and take up as much ground as he did before assisting Almiron was superb. As the ball's cleared forward here towards Anthony Gordon, headed away by Maguire on halfway. Then Casemiro heads it into his own half for Dallo to lay it back off to Onana, who's playing his 160th game under Erik ten Hag. 15 for Manchester United. And the other 145 when he was at Ajax. As Newcastle pick it up on halfway with Joe Linton out to the left to Lewis Hall, just inside his own half here, being pressed by Anthony, so has to go backwards here to Paul Dummett, forward to Joe Linton, then to his right to Longstaff, who restarts play with Dubravka, who will clear it long up towards halfway. On the Newcastle left, header won by Dallo, towards the edge of the Newcastle box, and it'll run through right into the feet of Dubravka, who will then pick it up, who's in a full light blue jersey tonight, the Newcastle goalkeeper. It's West Ham are 3-0 up at home to Arsenal, 63 minutes in. All the other games are 1-0. Left back Hall, down the line, deflects off Anthony. Throw in midway inside the Newcastle half for Lewis Hall to take. Let's have a look. Cross in from Soufal, headed away by White. Forced to the edge of the box to Bowen, whose strike, I think, deflects and deceives Ramsdale. So it looks like the Hammers are going to proceed into the quarterfinals as United have won the ball back with Anthony in the final third. Across it goes to Hannibal in the box, who will slide to keep it alive, and it's now with Reguilon. And from 20 yards out, the Spaniards' wild strike goes over the crossbar. Needs to do better than that. Sergio Reguilon, who only came up with the 2 goals in his 67 appearances he's made so far for Spurs. Well kept alive there by Hannibal, and then sliced it completely there, Reguilon, formerly of Real Madrid for 15 years. The left back, who struggled last season with groin and hamstring injuries whilst on loan at Atletico Madrid. As Dummett strides forward from the back from the goal kick, being chased down by Martial and then fouled from behind by the Frenchman. Free kick for Newcastle. He's been taken quickly by Longstaff out to the left to Willock. Forward into the space for Almiron. In the final third, one-on-one with Dallo. He's got Willock to his left. And he'll play it through and in behind into the box. Willock, what a run. Tries to cut inside. Stopped momentarily, but he still has it. Spins, crosses, deflects into the sky. Maguire with the header and then strike by Hall. And that's a cracker. And Newcastle have their lead doubled at Old Trafford. Newcastle supporters just keep scoring for their team. Burning Longstaff against PSG. And now Hall at Old Trafford against Manchester United. He's grown up a Newcastle supporter. And he gets his first goal for his club. It was well worked down the left between Almiron and Willock. And the Willock cross was deflected in the air. And Maguire headed away to the edge of the box, where Lewis Hall was allowed to volley with his left foot low into the bottom right corner. Onana beaten. And here it is. Willock spun left-footed cross, headed away by Maguire, only as far as Hall, and then exactly on the 18-yard line, he just about got his left foot behind the ball, swung it back, and he had the ball laced into the bottom right corner. Onana dived, stretched, couldn't meet it. And at Old Trafford, it is Manchester United 0, Newcastle 2. United are capitulating at home again. In back-to-back games. Great strike for Lewis Hall. It's his first ever professional goal. Didn't score in his 12 appearances for Chelsea, but he's got his first goal for Newcastle in his 3rd appearance for the club. And the Harry Maguire header, you could argue, is not good enough, but why is no one marking him on the edge of the box? Allowed to have the strike at goal, and it was really well placed into the bottom right corner as Anthony keeps it in right on the corner flag. He's then tackled, and the corner's won. United need answers. They need to make some changes, I think, at half-time. They have got all their big boys on the bench, as I mentioned before, the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Rasmus Højlund as well. But 2 very good Newcastle goals. The first one was a really good counter-attack from Livramento, who then played it through to Almiron in the box, who finished in the bottom right corner. And then that bottom right corner finish from Hall was a beauty. Really well placed. Mount outswinger. Can't be won by a United head, but it drops to the edge of the box to Garnacho. Back once more to Dallo. Midway side the Newcastle half. He tries to play it in behind. It's so overhit and misplaced. It goes through for a Newcastle goal kick. United are just really struggling. They've played 14 games so far this season in all competitions. 7 wins and 7 defeats. They're yet to draw this season. Obviously, tonight can't end a draw. It can end a draw, I think, after 90 minutes. I'll have to research that. I do apologise. I should know that. As Newcastle play out from the back with Livramento from right back. Yeah, go straight to penalty shootout. If it is level, as Almiron plays down the left channel again, and Willock will get there in the final third. Outside the box, he's been chased down here by Casemiro. Hall's made the run towards the byline. As he tries to pull it back, it deflects off Anthony. Drops into Casemiro at right back, who flicks it forward nicely to Mason Mount, who will go across to the left now to Reguilon. As United want to try and hit back quickly. 6 minutes to go until we hit the 45th minute. Garnacho on halfway. Back to Reguilon. And inside it'll go here to number 7, Mason Mount, who plays a ball high over the top, looking for Hannibal. He tries to nod it down the right-hand side. He lands on his back awkwardly, Hannibal. And the play will be stopped. Not a foul, but as he went to win the header, he just landed poorly on his back. Yeah, he went with Dummett to try and win it. Yeah, landed right on his back. That's a painful one for Hannibal Mejbri. who might be one of the players took off at half time, just more for the fact that he's quite an aggressive player and he's already on a yellow card. Hannibal, after hitting Longstaff quite hard with a bit of a shoulder barge in the air, about 15 minutes in. He's already back to his feet, Hannibal, as United look like they're going to be heading out of the League Cup, a competition they won last season. In previous years, they've not done too great. Couple of semi-final finishes from 2019 to 2021. They won it last season. There is Eddie Howe, who is closing in on 2 years at the club, was appointed on the 8th of November. As we restart here with Newcastle on the ball in their midfield, but given away by Longstaff. Forward to Martial, tries to let it off to his right to Mount. Misplaced, given away. Now Lewis Hall forward. Just goes beyond Casemiro, and Gordon finds Matt Ritchie, who's drifted over from the right-hand side to the left. He's got Willock in support. He'll lay it off to Joe Willock. Drives inside, edge of the box, shoots, and it's down the throat of Onana. Try to bend it towards the right corner, where all the other Newcastle shots have gone in from. But it just curled straight down the throat of Onana. As the switch out by Reguilon to the right, it's been brought down beautifully by Anthony into the path of Dalot, who's got forward from right back. Tries to play it forward towards Martial, who made a run in the box, but deflects off Gordon and into the hands of Martin Dubravka. As Gordon's just hobbling a little bit from before when Newcastle was counter-attacking. He was just caught by Harry Maguire as he played it into Ritchie, who then burst forward. I think he'll be able to run it off, Anthony Gordon, as Dubravka clips it out to the Newcastle left. Header won by Dalot, brought down by Dummett, who clears for Newcastle down the left-hand side. Header won by Casemiro. Cut out, though, by Hall ahead of Anthony, but his touches overran it. And it's now picked up by Casemiro on halfway. Tries to play out to the right, header away by Joe Linton. It drops to Longstaff. And it's cut out by Hannibal from the Matt Ritchie pass, but again, a heavy touch gives it away. And it's now out to the left-hand side to Almiron. He's got Willock to his left, and then instead he's gone through to Gordon on the left side of the box. Has to leave the box and play it backwards to Almiron. Back out here to Gordon. Down the line to Almiron. Low ball into the box. It's cleared by Maguire. And out for a Newcastle throw-in the final third here. Newcastle wanting a third before half-time. As I mentioned before, it's been just under 10 years since their last win at Old Trafford. It was a 1-0 win in December of 2013. It was a Johan Cabaye goal in the 61st minute. It's 8 games they've gone at this ground without a goal. It's Almiron from the throw-in. Tries to play inside towards Willock. Cut out by Casemiro. It's now Hannibal. Tackled fairly and strongly by Joe Linton. It's now Almiron. 1-on-1 with Dalot. Kicks it off Hannibal. And he still has it here, Almiron. And he's tackled right on the corner flag. And it's another throw-in here for Newcastle. Starting to build some frustration here. Manchester United, who have obviously got players out themselves. Luke Shaw's out. She'll be back at the end of this month. Malassi's out with a knee injury. Wan-Bissaka was out, but he's just returning. He's on the bench tonight. Amad Diallo, who's on loan last year at Sunderland, he's out with a knee injury. Martinez is out with his foot injury again. She'll be back between December and January. So they are missing some key players, Manchester United, and they have rotated tonight, but so have Newcastle. They've heavily rotated as well, with big games coming up for them at the weekend and in midweek. So Newcastle have now got it on the right side, heading forward by Livramento, looking for Ritchie, who keeps it in and plays it down the line, but it just goes out of play. Thrown for Manchester United midway inside their own half. And Reguilon has the ball in his hands here. He did make the semi-finals with Tottenham in the 21-22 season, where they were beaten by Chelsea, who were then beaten in the final by Liverpool. Dalot goes back into his 18-yard box here with Onana. He was at Barcelona for 5 years after leaving the Eto'o Academy to join Barcelona, where he then moved on to the likes of Ajax and Inter Milan, where he did reach a Champions League final last year, keeping 5 clean sheets in the knockout stages. As the ball's been switched out here beautifully to Reguilon. It goes to the left here to Garnacho. Midway inside the Newcastle half, he goes back into Mount, forward to Martial, lays it off to Casemiro, about 40 yards away from goal. He works it out to the left here to Reguilon. Tries to go inside towards Mason Mount on the edge of the box, cut out by Longstaff, played forward by Emil Kraft. Can't find Livramento on halfway. Picked up by Lindelof as we've got 20 seconds left of the first 45. Plus any added on time that we will get because Matt Targett went down within 2 minutes and had to be replaced by the first goal scorer, Almiron. So we will get some added time where United will try and score to get back in this game. They did lose 3 in a row in September. Manchester United when they played Arsenal, Brighton and Bayern Munich. If they lose tonight, that will be 2 losses in a row. Both at home as well. They've got Fulham away in the week and then Copenhagen away in midweek in the Champions League where they need to win that to try and keep their hopes alive of qualifying as Casemiro's ball forward into the box, cut out on the edge of the box by Joe Linton, but it deflects to Reguilon, who works it left to Martial, who's not even in the box here. Switches out to the right to Dallo, who strikes from afar and it's whiskers wide. About 20 or so yards out there, Diogo Dallo decided to strike low towards the bottom left corner. And he had Dubravka diving. Didn't take any deflections and just whizzed wide of the post, not far away. He's got 5 minutes of added on time, fairly given. The stoppage was quite long for Matt Targett to come off the field. But 3 of Newcastle's shots on target, 2 of them have gone into the back of the net. Dubravka's goal kick is won by the head of Casemiro, brought down by Anthony on the halfway line on the near side here, as he's been chased down by Lewis Hall and his ball inside off Willock is deflected by the Newcastle man, thrown for United on the halfway line. What will be taken by number 20, Diogo Dallo, who has played all 90 minutes in the last 8 games in the Premier League. Also played the 90 minutes against Crystal Palace in the 3rd round. He's kind of been United's only fullback, really, for the last couple of games. As Lindelof's ball back to Onana is deflected off Gordon and goes into the feet of the Cameroon international. He switches out to the left of Reguilon. Brings it down nicely and then goes back into Casemiro. He's midway inside his own half here, so needs to try and get the ball forward here, the former Real Madrid player who won 1 Spanish Cup, or known as the Copa del Rey, in 2014. And obviously won the League Cup last year, scoring in the final. As he has the ball here, more into the Newcastle half. Gets across into the box towards Martial. Header won here by Dummett. And it'll drop to Almiron, who volleys away down the Newcastle left. And it'll be brought down by Willock. Just goes in front of him. Miscontrols it. Throw in for Manchester United on the halfway line as it's been taken here now to Maguire. As we've got 3 minutes to go this half. United trail by 2-0. Out to the left-hand side to Garnacho. Midway inside the Newcastle half. Drives forward towards the final third. Not got many options, but he goes inside here to Mount. From afar, he shoots the ball and it's had to be saved and parried behind for a corner. Just on the left side there, Mount's gone towards the far post. Quite far out as well. Good 25, 30 yards out there from Mason Mount. And the ball was swinging out towards the right corner and it's to be met by both hands of Martin Dubravka. Mason Mount still searching for his first Manchester United goal as the corner goes into the near post, won by Longstaff. Forced to Mount on the edge of the box. Now out to the right side to Anthony, who tries to get it back in the box. Deflects off Almiron, but then goes back to Anthony, who goes to the edge of the box to Mount. Goes across to the left here to Reguilon. Back out wide left again to Casemiro. Needs to get it in the box here. Thinks it in towards the box. Cut out by Willock. Deflects to Hannibal. Goes to the right here to Dallo. Can United cut the deficit before half-time? Hannibal in the centre circle. Dinks it out to the left looking for Reguilon. Cut out by the head of Livramento. Drops in the end to Casemiro, who goes inside. Edge of the box to Martial. Flicks it on behind Lindelof. And it will fall here to Almiron. He'll go down the line here to Gordon. And he will get to the former Everton man in a left wing position here. Has to slow the ball down to hold it up to get plays forward. And he plays the running Longstaff, who goes back inside here to Almiron. 22 yards from goal. Goes to his right to Ritchie. Back out to the left here to Joe Linton. There's Newcastle to slow possession down here in the final third. Now back midway inside the United half with Lewis Hall on this near side. Joe Linton. Forward 15 yards to Longstaff. Lays it off to his right to Almiron. Furthest left here is Gordon. He plays it back to Lewis Hall on halfway. He goes inside. Back into his own half to Dummett. Forward on halfway to Joe Linton. Out wide right to Livramento. Spins and plays it forward nicely to Matt Ritchie, who takes the ball away from Mount. And there's a free kick caught late from behind there by Mount. About 10 yards inside at the United half. Newcastle win a free kick on the far side, as we've got just under 30 seconds left of this first half. Dummett in the Newcastle half forward in the centre circle to Joe Linton. Out to the left to Willock, who will try and burst around the outside of Dalot, and he can't quite beat the Portuguese international. Good defending from the fullback. And he'll play it into Casemiro, and that'll be the half-time whistle from Robert Jones. We've played 50 minutes of football in the first half, and it's Newcastle to go in 2-0 to the good. Had very little big chances throughout the game. Manchester United have able to conjure up 5 shots with 2 on target, but none of them seriously challenging Martin Dubravka. The most challenging strike was from Mason Mount just before half-time there, as he had to tip behind for a corner kick. But for Newcastle, they are in dreamland here at Old Trafford. The first goal came in the 28th minute from Miguel Almiron. Livramento took the ball away from Garnacho inside his own half and then drove forward deep into the opposition half, where he saw Almiron making a run down the left channel. He played it into his path, who then took a touch forward there, Almiron. And then from around 7 yards out, just before the 6-yard line, being chased down by Dalot, he was able to get his strike away with his left foot across goal into the bottom right corner. Onana probably could have came out to try and close down the angle, but the Cameroon international stayed put towards his line, and Almiron was able to get the shot in and get it the net bulging for Newcastle. And then 8 minutes later, in the 36th minute, Newcastle again down the left-hand side working. It was Almiron playing it through to Willock, who spun and crossed it towards the near post with his left foot. It was headed away by Harry Maguire, and then on the 18-yard line, just to the left side of the box, Lewis Hall dug out a volley towards the bottom right corner, where it bounced beyond Onana into the back of the net, and in front of the Stretford end, Lewis Hall darted towards the corner flag with a big knee slide as he gets his first ever goal in professional football. It's his first as well for Newcastle, his boyhood club. And at half-time at Old Trafford, after 50 minutes of football in the first half, it is Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 2. Wow. I mean, Newcastle, with the team that they've put out, with the rotation that they've had to put, with the fact they've got Arsenal away on Arsenal at home on Saturday, and then Dortmund away next week on the 7th, which is the Tuesday. They've done very well there. They look like, for example, it's Emil Kraft, the right centre-back's first game of the season, and he only made the squad for the first time this season against Wolves. And he's come in and he's playing like he's been playing all season. Dummett, the same, who's played alongside him at left centre-half. It's only his second appearance of the season. His other 90 minutes he picked up this season was against City in the third round. It's just all these players who haven't played many minutes. They're coming into the team and they're playing like they've just, it's a really well-oiled machine. They're very easily fitting into this Newcastle system, and they're just playing a lot better than Manchester United. Looks so more dangerous when they're attacking Newcastle. Manchester United have a look if they don't really know what they're doing. Obviously, United have also made a lot of changes, but they just look a little bit clueless in their play, and they trail 2 at half-time. We will just switch over the channel, and we'll have a look at how Arsenal are doing. We'll have a little watch of Arsenal, as they are still 3-0 down at the London Stadium. And it's 9 minutes to go. So it looks like West Ham are going to proceed to the quarter-final. Bowen in swinger had to be headed away at the near post by Havertz, but it'll drop through to the other corner flag to Paqueta. He tries to rainbow flip Fabio Vieira. It don't quite come off for Paqueta. Showboating there, the Brazilian. Don't see that very often. Trying to rainbow flip there. If anyone's going to try it, it is a Brazilian. But, I think it would be disappointing for Newcastle, the fact that for Newcastle, they're going to be delighted. For Arsenal being knocked out as Declan Rice is on the ball as he returns to the London Stadium. Arteta needs to start winning more silverware. And I know it's the League Cup and some people disrespect it, but it's a good trophy to win. It really is. And the fact that they're going to be knocked out here, it looks like, they're in the Champions League, which is a difficult tournament, which is difficult competition to win. That goes without saying. And it's not going to be a two-horse race, this Premier League now. It's not going to be just Arsenal and City going for the league. Liverpool are right behind. Spurs are going to be up there come the end of the season because they've got no Europe, so they've all got the Premier League to focus on. Obviously, City as well. And then they've got the FA Cup to go for. So I just think, Arteta will be disappointed. I don't think this will be a competition that he would have wanted to get knocked out of. Because, for Premier League sides, you've got to win 2 games and then you're already in the quarterfinals in the League Cup. So, I don't know, just think Arteta will be disappointed that he'll be knocked out of this one. As in the other games, Chelsea lead Blackburn at home 2-0. Badie Shealy and Raheem Sterling with the goals. Bournemouth and Liverpool at the Vitality is 1-1. Gakpo gave Liverpool the lead in the 31st minute, and then it's all been levelled up in the 64th minute through Justin Kluivert. Everton 2-0 up at Goodison. Tarkowski in the first half and Onana in the second half. It's Burnley and Fulham have gone 2 up away at Ipswich. Harry Wilson with the first one in the 9th minute and Rodrigo Muniz in the 50th minute. So it looks like it's going to be all Premier League, bar the 2 games played yesterday. So Mansfield dropped to a 1-0 defeat at home to Port Vale. So they're through to the quarterfinals. And Middlesbrough won away at Exeter. So it looks like it's going to be 6 Premier League teams and 1 League One side and a Championship team as well. That's coming up on the channel at the weekend. It's a women's football doubleheader. And I've already started doing the research for the first game we're doing. And, I'm very excited for it, must admit. As it is going to be. Just going to have a look here. Have them written down. So, on the 5th of November, so this is Sunday, coming at 12:30, we're going to have Arsenal women taking on Manchester City women and 6:45. So later on same day, 5th of November, Sunday, is going to be Brighton women against Manchester United women. So a women doubleheader on Sunday. Arsenal, City, Brighton, Manchester United. And make sure you come and check those games out. But unfortunately, last night, did watch it. The Lionesses, the England women, did fall to a 3-2 defeat away to Belgium. It was a weird game. England had all the possession and all the chances, and Belgium was very clinical on the counter-attack. They had a striker up front, and I can't remember her name. I think scored all 3 goals, or definitely 2 of them. She was clinical, the captain for Belgium. She scored twice. Tessa Valart, I think it's Valart, is how you say it. Yeah, Belgium had 5 shots, 4 on target, and scored 3. England had 18 shots, 5 on target, 73% possession, and lost 3-2. So that was disappointing for the Lionesses, but make sure you come at the weekend on Sunday. 12:30 kick-off is Arsenal, City women, and 6:45 Brighton, Manchester United women. Make sure you're here for that one, for both of them. And then the next one after that is Aston Villa at home to AZ Alkmaar in the Europa Conference League. And what's the one after that? I can't remember. It's not this weekend. The weekend after is Bournemouth Newcastle. So we're doing Newcastle again. I think it's Bournemouth on the 11th of November, which is a Saturday. As we just wait for the second half of United Newcastle, we've got Arsenal, 4 minutes to go. Martinelli corner, far post, headed away by West Ham. Picked up by Saka, who's playing here. Ødegaard's also playing, so they definitely put the big guns out to try and get back in this game, Arsenal. Martinelli in the left wing position. 1-on-1 with Soufal in the final third. He has to go back though. Midway inside the West Ham half to Ødegaard. Out to the right here to Bukayo Saka, who just needs to get in the box, really. Goes back to Ødegaard. From afar, he's going to shoot, and it's parried by Fabianski, but he can pick it up easily. And it remains 3-0 at the London Stadium. Be a great result for the Hammers, who obviously won the Conference League last season under the captaincy of Declan Rice. And they'll want to try and get some more silverware. Why not? They've definitely got the squad to do it. They've assembled a decent squad, West Ham, with the money from Declan Rice. As Liverpool have taken the lead at Bournemouth again. Darwin Núñez to make it 2-1 there at the Vitality. It's Kudus for West Ham on the right side. Goes back to Soufal, forward to Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse got to be offside there. Yeah, he is. So, a draw is later tonight. I won't be here for the draw, but I think the League Cup quarter-final draw will be on YouTube, on Sky Sports, so you can find it there. It's just that... sorry if you can hear any noise there. But, yeah, quarter-final draw. A bit later on, and I'm not waiting around for it when you can watch it for yourselves on YouTube. But we'll definitely do a quarter-final commentary of the League Cup. Whenever the League Cup... When is the quarter-final League Cup, actually? I don't know, I feel like I should know that. Let's have a look when they'll be played. I don't want to know when the draw is. I want to know when... Okay, here we go. So, the quarterfinals will be played on the 18th of December. Well, the week commencing the 18th. So, they'll probably be played on the 19th and the 20th of December. So, quite a while until then. And then the semi-final, first and second legs are on the week of the 8th and the 21st of January. And then the final is on Sunday, the 25th of February. As the second half will be getting underway in the game we're covering in a couple of minutes' time. Did have 5 minutes of additional time at the end of the first half due to a Matt Target injury in the 3rd minute, and then he was replaced by Almiron, who put Newcastle 1-0 up in the 28th minute. I think it was poor defending for that first goal. Dallo just letting Almiron running behind in the box. I think it's just absolutely criminal, as I said before. As we're about to hit the 90th minute in this game at the London Stadium, and I think, pretty sure Arsenal will see that one through. So we'll switch back over, so we don't miss any of the action in this game at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Newcastle, a place they have only won once since 1973, and the last time they won here was in December 2013, a Johan Cabaye goal. But it isn't. It's looking quite grim for Manchester United, as apparently the Newcastle supporters during the first half were chanting, "You're getting sacked in the morning," towards Erik ten Hag, which isn't great, really, is it? It's not something you want to be hearing. As I mentioned before, it's ten Hag's 77th game tonight in charge of Manchester United. If they win, which looks unlikely, but whenever they win their next game, it'll be his 50th win as manager of Manchester United. If they lose tonight, it will be their 20th defeat under Erik ten Hag. And I find that it's difficult which way to look at Erik ten Hag, because I do believe it's hard to really understand the way Manchester United play. Like, is it counter-attack? Is it possession? Is it getting it out wide? It all just seems a bit, like, made up in a way. Like, they're just taking instincts of which pass to play. And that falls at the manager. But you have got, like, I mean, I know people mention it, and I'm not a Manchester United fan, so I'm not defending them. But the stuff that goes on off the pitch will 100% it will have an effect. I don't care what anyone says. What's happening with the club and the sale of the club and what's going on with the Glazers, that will affect things on the pitch, because it will lead to uncertainty. And I'm not just talking about the squad, just staff in general. It just makes the place an uncertain atmosphere. You've got certain people who will be wondering if they're even going to have a job come the takeover, if it ever happens. You've just got so many questions, and it's just such a big cloud, and it's made so prominent by United fans, and rightly so. I'm not having a go. if I was a United fan, I'd want the Glazers gone. It's not even like I just want this whole issue eradicated, and to make the problem eradicate, the Glazers have got to go. But that will, and it affects transfers as well. You know, in the summer you're thinking, God, who's going to be owning the club? Will I have this amount of money? Will I have that money? Can I bring him in? Can I bring that guy in? How many players can I bring in? I think Manchester United at the minute is just a bit. I say a bit. It's just a big mess on the pitch, off the pitch, everywhere in that club. It all just seems really dysfunctional. As we're going to have some changes here. Lindelof has got the armband, while Maguire is still on the pitch, which I find interesting. So let's have a look at the changes made. So Diogo Dalot has come off at right back, who was definitely at fault for the first goal for Almiron. He'll be replaced by Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who has missed the last 9 games through a hamstring injury. He made 5 Premier League appearances before the injury. He'll play this 45 minutes. And Casemiro comes off for Amrabat. So Casemiro, who was on a yellow card, let's just mention that he was on a yellow card. He comes off for Sofian Amrabat. So Amrabat on for and Wan-Bissaka for Dalot and Casemiro as we are underway in this second half. Newcastle kicking left to right, United right to left towards the Stretford end in this second 45, where the Red Devils need to really get into action and cause some problems for Newcastle United. As Onana has the ball in the 18-yard box for United. Clipped out to the left side towards left back Reguilon, who will be met by the tackle of Livramento, and the ball will deflect out for a Manchester United throw-in deep inside their own half here. Reguilon clears down the line from the throw-in. It's brought down by Mount on the near side, midway inside his own half. He goes inside to Amrabat, who is being pulled down here by Joe Willock, and that'll be a free kick and yellow card. So Joe Willock in the book. First player to be booked, I think, tonight for Newcastle. So who will proceed to the League Cup quarter-final? Obviously, Newcastle have got the upper hand going into the second half, being 2 goals to the good through Almiron and Hall. As we are now back underway with Lindelof at left centre half. Left-footed ball forward towards Martial. Slice clearance from Dummett, but it's headed away by Lewis Hall. As far as Wan-Bissaka on halfway, who plays it forward to Anthony. Can't head it on. Drops to Amrabat though. Hannibal drives down the right-hand side here. He's got Wan-Bissaka making a run forward, and he finds him in the final third here. Lays it off to Anthony, who scoops it back to Hannibal. He'll keep the ball alive. Ball to the left to Amrabat. On once more to Mount. Back to the halfway line now to Harry Maguire, who goes across to Lindelof. All Newcastle players currently behind the ball as Lindelof gets out to the left side to Reguilon. Midway inside the Newcastle half. Goes back 10 yards to Mount, who tries to drive forward. Gets away from the first challenge of Joe Linton. Then out wide left to Garnacho. Now in the final third. One-on-one with Matt Ritchie. Ball inside to Amrabat. It's now Mount. Ball, edge of the box. Brought down by Martial. And tackled in the end, but Longstaff's ball's given away. Aimed towards Gordon. Went beyond the former Everton man. It's now Maguire on halfway. Forward to Anthony. On the right, turning and trying to take on Lewis Hall, but he's met by a slight tackle from Lewis Hall, but he keeps it alive towards the corner flag. Plays the ball inside to Hannibal. It's now Wan-Bissaka. Gets it towards the byline. Pulls it in, and it's nearly poked in by Martial, but it's deflected behind for a corner. Well worked down the right-hand side there. And the ball was put in by Wan-Bissaka towards Martial. But it was Kraft to get his body in front of it and to block it behind for a corner. Outswinger. Mount towards Maguire. Header won by Joe Linton. Drops to the edge of the box to Reguilon, who feeds it back out to the right-hand side here to Mason Mount. Curls it in. Again, a header won by Joe Linton. And it'll run through towards Anthony, but it'll be Anthony to get there ahead of Gordon. And he's pulled down by Anthony Gordon. Free kick on the halfway line on the far side for Manchester United. It's taken quickly to the furthest man back for United, and that's Sofian Amrabat. Drives forward beyond the halfway line. Finds it out to the left side to Reguilon. Garnacho inside to Amrabat. Switching it. Big switch out to the right side. Finds Anthony. Does it? No. Just overhit. And it goes out for a throw-in for Newcastle United in their defensive third here. 2 wins for Newcastle in their last 10 in all competitions against Manchester United. The last League Cup meeting between these two before the final last season was at Old Trafford, and it ended 2-1 to United in September of 2012 in the third round. Anderson and Cleverley gave United a 2-0 lead, and Newcastle pulled one back through Papi Cisse. So some old retro names being pulled out there from their last meeting in the League Cup before that final last season. As Manchester United have won a free kick here on the right-hand side. Hannibal brought down. It's a chance for Mount to swing this in with the right boot. They've also got the left foot of Anthony as well. Maguire's up there. Lindelof, Martial. Amrabat as well. Whistle blown from Robert Jones. Ball to the far post by Mount. It goes over the head of Harry Maguire and goes beyond Garnacho, who... Can he avoid the throw-in? He can avoid the throw-in. Well kept in by Garnacho. Regular on the left back. Ball to the far post. It's an unmarked Anthony at the far post, who takes a touch in the box. Tries to swing it in, but it's blocked by Hall. And it'll be brought down here by Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's forced all the way back to his own goalkeeper in his own half, to Onana. Now Amrabat, midway inside his own half. Goes to the left here to Wan-Bissaka, who's in a more natural left-back position, but he finds Amrabat again in the midfield as Arsenal defeated 3-1 at the London Stadium. So Arsenal are out of the League Cup in the 4th round stages. One better than last season. They were knocked out last season by Brighton at home in the 3rd round. As everyone's kind of back in position now for both sides. Amrabat has it in the centre circle. Lays it off into number 5, Harry Maguire. He's got the 32 League Cup appearances now in his career. 1 goal came for Hull in October 2016. Hannibal. Midway into the Newcastle half, he loses out to Joe Linton, who spreads it out wide left looking for Gordon. Header won by Maguire, but straight into the path of Joe Willock, whose touch is heavy and wayward, and it can be recollected by Lindelof, and he has it on the edge of the 18-yard box now. Ball forward to Hannibal. Now to the left to Garnacho, just inside the Newcastle half. He's got Regular making a run ahead of him on the overlap. Decides against using him, and it's now for Amrabat. Mount out to the left again to Reguilon. Enters the final third. Plays a ball inside to the edge of the box to Martial. First time touch pass towards Garnacho. Loses it with a poor touch, but then it's won back by Mount, but then sliced away by Livramento. Throwing for Manchester United. No big chances as of yet in the second half. We had Martial coming half close at the near post, but nothing to trouble Dubravka as Garnacho has it on the left wing position here. Drives towards the byline and over, hits the touch. And it's a goal kick for Dubravka. Not good enough there from Alejandro Garnacho with the heavy touch. I think it's actually a free kick for offside anyway. So it would not have mattered. But in the Premier League, they drew 0-0 at Old Trafford last season, and Newcastle won at St James's Park in early April. Willock and Wilson with the 2 goals in the second half. But that win in April was their first win against Manchester United since October 2019, which was a 1-0 win. You might remember Matty Longstaff with the winner that day, brother of Sean. It's Maguire. Cruyff turns on the edge of his 18-yard box away from Gordon and plays it to Lindelof in a left-back position, who has to go back into Onana in the 6-yard box for Manchester United. Forward again to the edge of the box to Lindelof, who's got loads of room to run into here to bring it out from the back. Now plays it forward to the Moroccan Amrabat. Forward, nicely done into Anthony, who drifts inside from the right wing position, then plays it out to the left to Garnacho. 1-on-1 with Livramento, plays it into the run of Mount towards the byline, clips it in, header won by a Newcastle man, it drops to the far post, edge of the box down to Wan-Bissaka. Amrabat, and he strikes it over. 22 yards out, the Moroccan. Just couldn't get his body around it, and over the bar it went for a goal kick. Did come close against Sheffield United. You might remember Amrabat hitting the crossbar from the edge of the box, but the layoff from Wan-Bissaka wasn't good enough. It was played behind Amrabat, who then just couldn't get his body around it to get it into the back of the net. Not good enough there for Wan-Bissaka. It's a simple 5-yard pass. Just play it into his path. Don't go behind him where he has to get his body behind the ball more and make the attempt even harder to do. Livramento's clearance down the Newcastle right deflects out for a throw-in for the away side. And as well, captain tonight, Sean Longstaff, has only lost one game in 9 previous games in all competitions when he started, which I think is very impressive. He started 6 in the Premier League, 4 wins, 2 draws, and he started 3 in the Champions League with a win, draw and a loss. So Longstaff is very important in this Newcastle side, as Hannibal's offside flag given. Hannibal went down on the edge of the box, but there was an offside flag in the build-up for that United attack. But I definitely think he is very, very underrated, Sean Longstaff. He's really important. When he doesn't start, Newcastle find it harder to win. And when he does start, they find it harder to lose. Obviously, only the one loss when he started, and that was against Dortmund in their last Champions League game. As we're 10 minutes into the second half, it's still 2-0. Again, no real chances for either side, especially not Newcastle. They've barely ventured into the United half, as they have done now with Anthony Gordon battling with Reguilon, but it's the Spaniards come away with it in the left-back area for United. Ball inside to Hannibal, tries to get it back into the path of Reguilon on halfway, but it's cut out by Longstaff. It's now with Joe Linton. Richie back into his own half here with Kraft. Forward looking for Gordon, cut out by Reguilon. Clearance only goes as far as Longstaff, who's tackled from behind by Mount, who won the ball. So it's back with Manchester United now with Amrabat in the centre circle. Trying to curl it out to the right to Anthony. Lays it off inside to Martial, then back into the path of Anthony, who slows it down, edge of the box, cuts inside onto his left foot, strikes from afar, and it's so wayward and wide and over the bar. It's really poor from Anthony, and it'll be a goal kick for Newcastle. We know what he can do, Anthony, when he can strike a ball with his left foot cutting inside, but that is not vintage Anthony. We see better than that. Got the 8 goals last season. Anthony, 1 in 5 League Cup appearances. He scored in the quarter-final against Charlton. Did win the cup, the Dutch Cup at Ajax in 2021, where he did play throughout that run to the final, where they won it, but he was injured for the final, unfortunately. As Gordon on the right-hand side runs out of pitch there. Sorry if you could hear the next door. We've got United fans next door. He wasn't happy with that decision. But it's actually in the favour of Manchester United. As it's now Maguire in his own half, bringing the ball forward. Martial goes back into the United half with a pass to Wan-Bissaka. Inside to Amrabat, being pressed by Joe Linton. Keeps the ball moving out wide left here to Lindelof. He passes the halfway line and plays a ball out left to Garnacho. Midway inside the Newcastle half, he drives into the final third, getting away from Livramento, taking it towards the byline. He needs to get the cross in. He does do so, which is deflected off Livramento. Corner for Manchester United. Good run in there by Garnacho. He's just hobbling slightly, holding his left ankle after that big slide tackle from Livramento to block his cross. Let's have a look here. Got the cross in. Where's the just a bit of contact on his left ankle from Livramento. Not a foul at all. It's just they both collided together. But he seems to be okay. Reguilon outswinger on this near side. They need to make something of this corner. Reguilon into the box it goes. Header won by Joe Linton. Drops to the edge of the box while Wan-Bissaka heads it back out wide left towards Garnacho. Picked up by Gordon. Tackled by Mount, and his kick out of play goes for a Newcastle throw-in. As we have Chelsea still leading Blackburn 2-0 in the 91st minute. Liverpool up 2-1 at Bournemouth in the 95th minute. Everton still 2-0 up in the 92nd minute. And heading into the 90th minute, Ipswich are trailing 3-1 against Fulham. As in the right-back area, we have Emil Kraft on the ball. Back into his 18-yard box with Dubravka, who then finds Kraft again towards the byline. Nearly cut out, though, by Martial. So now Kraft dinking it forward into the centre of the park. Can't quite find Almiron. It's now picked up by Wan-Bissaka. Forward to Amrabat. Back out wide now to Wan-Bissaka. Halfway inside the Newcastle half. Drives forward. Plays it inside to Anthony, who is trying to drive forward, but he's got Lewis Hall for company. Going back towards his own goal with a pass to Amrabat. About 15 yards into the Newcastle half, he now drives forward and plays it to the right to Hannibal. Furthest right is Anthony. He's got everything to his left here, the Brazilian. And he fires it to Amrabat, back to Hannibal. Sees a switch out to the left in the final third. And it's brought down beautifully by Garnacho towards the corner flag. Again, back towards the goal. So plays it into Reguilon. Goes to his right here to Mount. He's driving down the Newcastle left. Forward to Hannibal on the edge. Back out wide left to Garnacho, who lifts a crossing towards Martial. Goes all the way through and behind for a goal kick. Not quite had the rub of the green tonight. Anthony Martial tried to be found there by Garnacho on the left-hand side, curling a ball in with his right boot. As it propped up, curled it in, but Martial lost out the header, and Anthony couldn't quite pick it up at the far post. And with half an hour to go, it's been all Manchester United this second half so far, but they've not really created anything major. And Newcastle still have a 2-goal lead. United don't mind this fixture usually. They were unbeaten in their last 7 games against Newcastle before the 2-0 loss at the end of last season at St James's Park. But it could be 2 defeats in a row. Amrabat, pickpocketed. Joe Willock, edge of the box. He wants to let fly. He will let fly, and that's a stunner. He scored in that 2-0 win at the end of last season at St James's Park against Manchester United. He now scores at Old Trafford, and Newcastle find themselves 3 up. Amrabat was the man who lost it inside his own half. Willock had only one idea, and that was to stride towards the Manchester United goal. He was not being closed down, so on the edge of the box, he just powered it with his right boot into the bottom right corner. Onana with absolutely no chance to keep that one out. And with half an hour to go, and with their first attack of the half, Newcastle go from 2 up to 3. Amrabat lost the ball to Joe Linton. Willock got it. Maguire, you've got to close him down. Someone's got to go to him. No one does. Allows him to strike. And he just curls it into that bottom right corner. The travelling supporters go absolutely wild. And when you're defending like that, you're going to concede goals. And United have already conceded 3. They shipped 3 goals at the weekend against Manchester City. Newcastle have rocked up with a heavily rotated side. Some players that haven't played all season. And they're winning by 3-0. That's the defending in this United side. It's so bad. You've got a player like Willock, who, yes, it's his first start of the season due to injury that he picked up in May of this year. But Maguire's hesitant to close him down. Lindelof doesn't get close enough to him and just allows him to have the shot. I've said it so many times so far tonight. It's criminal. So bad. There's Richie in the right back area. Plays it forward to Longstaff. Across it goes towards Willock. Picked up by Wan-Bissaka. 1-2 with Anthony. Wan-Bissaka back out to Anthony. Edge of the box. Goes to the left to Hannibal. Lays it off to Amrabat. Back out to the left here to Mount. From afar. Tame shot blocked on the edge of the box by, I think that's Kraft. Joe Linton on the edge of the box messing around. Goes back to Dubravka, who then eventually clears up for Newcastle. Headed back forward by Maguire and halfway to Wan-Bissaka on the United right. And Wan-Bissaka goes all the way back to Lindelof now midway inside his own half. He's now in their 18-yard box with Onana. Forward to Amrabat. Back out wide right to Lindelof. As in the other games, Liverpool are through. Beat Bournemouth 2-1. Everton have gone 3 up against Burnley. Ashley Young with the goal in the 92nd minute. Chelsea through against Blackburn. That's over 2-0 as well. Garnacho on the left. On this near side tackle there by Livramento. Throw in for Manchester United as they're going to make 2 changes. And 3 changes, but Newcastle are going to make 1 of their own. They're going to make 2 of their own. Loads of changes as the camera keeps panning. More players are coming onto the pitch. So for Newcastle, Anthony Gordon, number 10, who's been playing up front tonight. He's been great. He's been a handful. He'll be replaced by number 9, Callum Wilson, who's got the 7 goals this season. Callum Wilson, all in the Premier League. He's also got the 4 League Cup goals in his career, Callum Wilson. None of them for Newcastle. So that's their first change. And Joe Willock making his first start of the season since injuring his hamstring in May of last season. It's his first start of the season after substitute appearances against Dortmund and Wolves, and he returns to the starting 11 with a goal. And Joe Willock is replaced by Bruno Guimaraes, who was sent off last season in the League Cup second leg semi-final against Southampton. So, the changes for United. Anthony Martial, who's had no impact whatsoever, is replaced by number 11, Rasmus Højlund, who's only got the 3 goals so far this season, all of them in the Champions League. Number 17 is going to be replaced, Alejandro Garnacho. For number 10, Marcus Rashford, who's only got the 1 goal so far this season in all competitions, and that was away at Arsenal. And Bruno Fernandes, who's given the captain's armband, will be replacing Hannibal Mejbri. So the 3 big stars for Manchester United come on with 25 minutes to go. It would be one heck of a comeback, but attacking the Stretford end, who knows? We'll wait and see. As United have the ball with Lindelof towards the halfway line. He goes back and across to number 5, Harry Maguire, who has got the 2 goals previously against Newcastle in 12 previous meetings against the side from the northeast. As United have a free kick here. That's Manchester United. Lewis Hall bringing down Anthony towards the halfway line. Here's Maguire, the 30-year-old. Contract expires in 2025 and has an option to extend it by a year, but I'm not sure United will be extending his contract by an extra year come 2025. As Maguire has it, midway inside his own half, sees a big diagonal switch out to the left, and he will find Reguilon in the final third, running towards the edge of the 18-yard box, plays it to Rashford, helps it on once more, edge of the box, Højlund turns, plays it out to the right to Anthony, deflects off him, and then off Hall, back into the feet of Anthony. Amrabat 25 yards out, dinks out to the left, cut out by the head of Livramento, and it will be collected here by substitute Bruno Fernandes towards the halfway line, and United will attack again with Fernandes going out to the right side to Wan-Bissaka. Back into Fernandes. Back on halfway now with Maguire. Again, switching out to the left. It's a great ball out to Reguilon, who brings it down. Goes inside to Rashford, then back into Amrabat. Forward to Mount. It's now number 4, Sofian Amrabat. £8.5 million to loan him for the season, then an optional fee of £21.4 million as a Mount ball forward to Bruno Fernandes in the box is cut out, and then the clearance comes off the hand of Bruno Guimaraes, and it's a free kick for Manchester United. About, 30, 40 yards from goal here for United, so chance for a cross. It's more towards the left-hand side, not far left, more inside, as Fernandes goes out wide this time to Reguilon. He's got everything to his right here. He crosses the ball in. It's a dangerous one. Header won again by Joe Linton. It drops in the box for Rashford. Heavy touch off his chest and volleyed away by Livramento. Right into the United half where it's recycled back forward by Onana. Played forward to the furthest back, and that's Bruno Fernandes, the man who took the free kick. And Bruno Fernandes will dink it forward, looking for Højlund. Cut out by Lewis Hall. It's now with Joe Linton. 15 yards away from the halfway line, plays it forward down the left for Almiron, looks in behind for a ball, looking for Callum Wilson, overhit, bounces into the hands of Onana, and rolled out quickly now to Bruno Fernandes, out to the left, just inside the Newcastle half is Reguilon, forward to Marcus Rashford, off the bench, trying to make an impact. Fernandes, across to Harry Maguire, whose last goal, before scoring against Copenhagen in the Champions League, was in February 2012, away at Leeds, 4-2 win. So he's not scored too often. Well, he's not played too often, has he, really? Harry Maguire, as Mason Mount tried to be found on the left wing by Bruno Fernandes. But the pass is too well hit by the United captain, and it goes for a Newcastle goal kick. Bruno Fernandes also struggling for goals himself, only 2 so far this season. 1 at home to Nottingham Forest, then 1 away to Burnley, which was a great strike, commentated on the channel. The Burnley United game, it was a great finish from Bruno Fernandes. And Bruno Fernandes is making appearance number 199 for the Red Devils. So if he plays at the weekend against Fulham, it will be appearance number 200 for the 29-year-old. As the goal kick from Dubravka is nearly brought down by Callum Wilson, but miscontrols it, throwing in the near side here for United right in front of the Newcastle technical area. Reguilon throws it down the line, and it will be picked up here by Højlund, who's drifted out wide, and he's been shoved to the ground there by Emil Kraft, and the referee doesn't see it as a strong enough challenge for a foul. So it's a throw-in for Newcastle in their defensive third with right back Tino Livramento, who dealt with Garnacho very well. Took the ball off him once in the first half, and it led to the goal. Throw-in header won by Reguilon. Inside now by Højlund towards Fernandes. Tackled by Guimaraes and cleared away for Newcastle as far as the halfway line to Maguire. It's now a Lindelof. Left-footed, dinks ball forward. Finds Bruno Fernandes, tries to flick it on, but it deflects to Mason Mount, and he gets right underneath it, and over the bar it goes. About 25 yards from goal there, Mason Mount. Mentioned a couple times, but he's still searching for his first Manchester United goal. This is his 9th appearance for the club. He's yet to score in his career as well against Newcastle in general. Mason Mount. 20 minutes to go. It's been all Manchester United the second half. Newcastle have just defended what they've got, and the one time they were able to get forward, as Joe Linton won the ball off Amrabat, they scored from it. Very clinical from Newcastle United tonight. As Lindelof heads it back towards his own goal, where Wan-Bissaka will volley it in the air. Amrabat goes for it, but he loses out to the Longstaff, but his head has gone all as far as Lindelof. He nods it out to the left to Reguilon, who plays it down the line. Header won by Guimaraes, and helped on by Longstaff, brought down by Lindelof in the left-back area. Takes it away from Ritchie and Longstaff, and keeps going down the line here, Lindelof. He's been tripped a couple of times, and it'll be a free kick for Manchester United. And it's taken, and it's now with Harry Maguire, midway inside his own half here. They need to get it forward. Erik Ten Hag's men. And Maguire again will dink it out to the left-hand side to Reguilon. Exactly on halfway line here, the Spaniard. If they do lose, it'll be their 20th loss under Ten Hag in his spell here at Manchester United. Højlund loses out to Guimaraes, who drives forward past the halfway line, looking towards the Newcastle left. He'll play it to Almiron. He goes back into his own half, midway inside his own half with Hall. Into the 18-yard box now with a pass back to Dubravka, who dinks it out to the right-hand side, looking for Livramento. Header won by Reguilon, and it'll drop to Højlund on the edge of the box, who can't control it, and it's headed away there by Paul Dummett. Throw in for Manchester United, deep into the Newcastle half. They kept a clean sheet in the last round, Newcastle, against Manchester City, and it looks like they're going to be doing it against the red side of Manchester. Here's Lewis Hall. Problem. He's gone down here, shaking his head. He is going to get back to his feet here, Lewis Hall. Hopefully it's just a bit of cramp for him. He's not played much football this season, Lewis Hall. He's had to be patient. He played once off the bench against Sheffield United when they were 8-0 winners, and then he did play 45 minutes from the start against Manchester City, but he's not played this much minutes in a one game this season. As a ball towards Rashford in the 18-yard box is overhit, goes beyond him and out for a goal kick for Newcastle. It's not been good attacking. And if you look at the Newcastle defence, it is far from their first team defence. You know, Emil Kraft, first appearance of the season. Paul Dummett, second appearance of the season. Tino Livramento, 6th appearance of the season. Only his second start of the season. This defence should have been tested more, and it hasn't. Maguire wins the header from the goal kick, but only as far as Bruno Guimaraes, who heads it forward towards Callum Wilson. Dealt with by Maguire. It's now Amrabat midway inside his own half. He has to go back to Lindelof. Forward to Amrabat. Back to Maguire. Pressed here by Almiron. Gets it into Amrabat, who swings it out wide right now to Anthony. Drives forward beyond the halfway line. He's going to be closed down here by Joe Linton, but he gets the ball inside to Bruno Fernandes. Back out again to the right side to Anthony. Enters the final third. 1-on-1 with Lewis Hall. A few step overs. He drives inside. And he clips it into the box with his left foot. Finds Rashford at the far post. Ball inside. Cut out by Emil Kraft. I think it'll be a throw-in for Manchester United. Thrown by Reguilon. He has to go back to Amrabat. He goes back towards the halfway line now to Maguire. Forward to Lindelof. Anthony's wide with space, and he finds the former Ajax winger, and he takes it well. Plays it into the box. Fernandes, first time strike, he scuffs it. Wide it goes. On the right side of the box, on the angle, about 8 yards out. He was fed through by Anthony, and he tried to take it first time to surprise Dubravka. He was onside. It was a well-timed run, well-timed pass, and he just didn't catch it. Could he have took a touch? He probably could have, Fernandes. He didn't get his foot around it at all. Wide it goes. Big chance, really. Should have took a touch. Bruno Fernandes. As Newcastle are going to start bringing on their more experienced players. Lewis Hall, only his second appearance, his second start of the season, both in the League Cup, and he scores his first ever professional goal. Got the second in the 36th minute. It was a fantastic left-footed strike from the 18-yard line into the bottom right corner at the Stretford end, and he was replaced by Dan Burn and Matt Ritchie, who is also making his first appearance of the season. He's replaced by Kieran Trippier. So we'll have to see what kind of re-shifting Newcastle's doing here with the changes they've made. So Trippier and Burner on. Dubravka with a goal kick. Let's have a look how they're setting out here. So I think Livramento is going to go into a right wing position for Newcastle. So they've got a back four: Trippier, Kraft, Dummett and Burn. Midfield three of Joe Linton, Guimaraes and Longstaff, with Wilson up front, Almiron on the left and Livramento on the right. Wilson in the box, strike, spot by Lindelof, corner. Pull back there from Almiron on the left. Tried to find Wilson, who got the strike away, but it was blocked by Lindelof. Ball over the top by Burn. Found Almiron in the box on the left-hand side. Pulled it back. And about 16 yards out, Wilson tried the strike, but blocked by Lindelof. As Callum Wilson is looking for his third goal against Manchester United. He got one in their last meeting in the Premier League, where Newcastle won 2-0. He's got a great record for Newcastle, Callum Wilson. 45 goals in 93 appearances in all competitions, as we've got 15 minutes to go. Newcastle have a healthy lead. In swinger, near post, header won by Hoyland to the edge of the box to Almiron. He nods it to his right here to Longstaff. 150th appearance. He wants a goal. He'll hit it as well! Oh, that would have been a screamer. Just wide of the top left corner. And Longstaff nearly, very nearly, capped off his 150th appearance for Newcastle with an absolute stunner at Old Trafford. Header away by Hoyland, only as far as Almiron, who nodded it to his right to Longstaff. And about 22 yards out, he struck it very straight and just wide of the post. If he could have just tried to curl it back in. Oh, God, Onana's got no chance. That's such a good strike. And so nearly for Newcastle. As Livramento shoved off the ball. Or shoved to the ground, off the ball by Reguilon. And it'll be a booking for the Spaniard. As the right back, Livramento, now playing on the right wing. Got an assist tonight as well. Let's have a look here. Reguilon was booked, not for the foul, but for kicking the ball away. Just frustrated, Reguilon. He has been, when played, one of United's best performers this season at left back. He actually looks like he wants to play, which can be, it's difficult to say for some of the United players who just look just uninterested. Free kick for Newcastle on the far right hand side, put in by Trippier, headed away, or helped on by Rashford at the edge of the box, helped away by Lindelof, headed back forward by Longstaff into the box where it's controlled by Wilson, and the header won there. I can't see that's by Emil Kraft, but it's well saved by Onana, who throws it out towards Fernandes, lets it run, and it's picked up by Trippier. Now with Bruno Guimaraes, tries to play a ball forward, cut out on the edge of the box by Lindelof, only as far as Trippier on halfway, and Dummett plays it back into the 18-yard box to Dubravka, who clears forward first time, beyond the halfway line, looking out left, looking for Almiron, can't quite get there ahead of Wan-Bissaka, and it's a throw-in for the home side. So, in the other League Cup games, Port Vale and Middlesbrough went through last night in their games. West Ham through against Arsenal 3-1. Chelsea 2-0 victory against Blackburn. Liverpool 1-1 away at Bournemouth. Everton knock out Burnley. And Fulham go away to Ipswich and win 3-1. So we have had 7 of the 8 teams confirmed for the quarterfinals. Maguire chips it out wide right, looking for Anthony on halfway. Cut out by Burn. It's now inside to Guimaraes on halfway. Gets away, nearly got away from the challenge of Amrabat, who's then booked as he pulled down Bruno Guimaraes. And for Bruno Guimaraes. He has now played more games for Newcastle than he did for Lyon, his previous club where he was signed from, for £33 million. He played 71 games for Lyon with the 3 goals, but now Guimaraes has played 72 for Newcastle with 11 goals, so scoring a lot more goals now. He's been at Newcastle as the Geordie boys have the ball just inside the United half here with Guimaraes, again being met by the challenge of Amrabat, and he can't get away from the Moroccan. Another free kick for Newcastle, well won by Bruno Guimaraes. Thanks to everyone who's here. If you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. As we've got 11 minutes to go plus added on time here in this League Cup 4th round game, as Newcastle were very hit and miss in the League Cup in previous seasons. Last season obviously got to the final. The season before that they only reached the second round. Season before that was quarterfinals. Season before that was second round, then second round again, then second round again. Quarterfinals in 2017. So Newcastle either lose their first game in the competition or have a decent little run into the last stages. It's never really in the middle. So they're going far again. Quarterfinals this time as Livramento's crossed down the right-hand side. Has gone for a goal kick for Manchester United. Couldn't quite swing the ball in play. The former Chelsea man, Tino Livramento, who was a striker as a kid. Livramento, but now a right back, but playing right wing tonight. Since the substitute of Trippier, as Onana clips it out wide right to Wan-Bissaka, who's charging into the Newcastle half. He plays out to the right to Anthony, who then gets the return to Wan-Bissaka towards the corner flag. He's pickpocketed by Joelinton, who's almost playing left back there. Really well done from Joelinton. It's now Almiron on the left, gets the ball from Byrne, tackled by Anthony. It's a throw-in for United. Last touch off Almiron. Joelinton has gone down here for Newcastle. Hopefully it's nothing serious, as Manchester United have now conceded 26 goals in all competitions in 15 games they've played. Just not good enough defensively at all. Their home record hasn't been too bad, but now it's 50-50. They've played 10 games at home in all competitions, 5 wins, and it will surely now be 5 losses. Something needs to change. I know they need players back from injury, but if you feel like they need something more than that. Anthony now on the far right hand side for Manchester United, ball inside to Bruno Fernandes, who's done little since coming on. Caught late though by Joelinton, yellow card for the Brazilian. Just caught Bruno Fernandes from behind there, and it'll be a free kick for the home side. Yeah, just shoved in the back there by Joelinton, Bruno Fernandes. As Newcastle's line is just on the edge of the 18-yard box. As it's United to have the free kick on the right-hand side here. Again, just inside on the right, not too far wide, but it'll be a Fernandes cross. Just hit the first man. How was he hit the first man? Headed away by Callum Wilson to the halfway line to Sergio Reguilon. He'll play it across the halfway line to Wan-Bissaka, who will drive forward 20 yards and plays it through towards Højlund on the right-hand side. He plays it back into Anthony. Everything to his left here. Onto his left foot, edge of the box to Amrabat. Back to goal. He has to play it into Bruno Fernandes, who will, I don't know what he's doing, shooting, crossing, don't know, but whatever he did was blocked by Guimaraes. Falls back to the halfway line to Lindelof. It's now with Bruno Fernandes, who dropped deep for the ball here. Who scored twice last season in the League Cup. In the third round against Aston Villa, and then in the semi-final against Nottingham Forest, as he chips it through towards Reguilon, whose cross goes out for a goal kick. Was met by the challenge, I think, of Trippier. It's tried to cross in there, Reguilon. Kicked it straight out of play. And those Newcastle fans are still singing, clapping, chanting, enjoying their time in Manchester. It's a 5-hour round trip for them, there and back. But I am sure they have enjoyed every single second of it, especially to just get some revenge on Manchester United for the final loss last season at Wembley. Dubravka's goal kick deep into the United half, and a won by Maguire. into the Newcastle half towards Hoyland, who will get there ahead of Dummett. And it'll now be Anthony to drive down the right-hand side, midway inside the Newcastle half. Just go back and inside again to Amrabat, centre of the field. Goes out wide left to Reguilon. Furthest left is Rashford. 40 yards from goal, so plays it across to Maguire. It's now out to the furthest player on the right, and that's Anthony again. Left-footed cross looking towards Hoyland. Header won on the penalty spot by Dummett. Helped forward by Maguire. Back by Amrabat to Reguilon to keep possession for the team in red. And Amrabat swings it out to the right now to Anthony. Good ball from the Moroccan. Anthony try to go on the left foot. Lays it behind into Fernandez, who swings it into the far post where it's had to be held behind in the 6-yard box by Trippier. Corner kick for Manchester United on the near side. Well defended there by number 2, Kieran Trippier, who's got the 2 League Cup goals in his career, both for Burnley. So obviously dating back quite a few years, scoring them in 2011 and 2013. Reguilon, outswinger, near post. So easy. Header won by Trippier. Just feel like everything tonight has been easy for Newcastle. Nothing's been difficult. Mount recycles it into the box. Far post, looking for Lindelof. Header won by Byrne. Falls to Almiron, who clears up towards halfway. Looking for the run of Wilson. Picked up, though, by number 29, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who goes down the right channel for Fernandez. Sees a switch out to the left. He's going to look for Rashford, and he finds him in the box. Touch inside. Another touch inside. Needs to let fly. He does do so. It's well blocked, though. And it will fall to Guimaraes, who tries to poke it clear himself. Won back by Fernandez. But then given away to Longstaff. Ball down the right channel. He finds Callum Wilson, who's all alone. He's been met, though, by the support of Livramento. Tries to feed it to him in the box, as Wilson is just on the right corner of the box, and he decides to go back to Trippier, and the attack just slows down. Guimaraes going towards the corner flag here, right in front of the travelling supporters. On this near side, he kicks it off Reguilon, and it'll be a throw-in for Newcastle right on the corner flag as Guimaraes gets the away fans going. The Newcastle fans are loving this. They want another trip to Wembley. They want to win silverware, something that they've never won before. Newcastle, they've never won the League Cup. They've got to 2 finals. Obviously in 2023 against Manchester United, and also in 1976 against Manchester City, where they were beaten 2-1. So it's definitely something they want to win, the League Cup, especially when you've never won it before. Thrown by Trippier to Longstaff, pulled to the ground by Mount, and that's a free kick for Newcastle on their right-hand side here. Just frustration there from number 7, Mason Mount, who did get to the final himself of the League Cup in 2022 against Liverpool, where they were defeated Chelsea on penalties. So we've got a couple of tops off there in the away end, something you don't really want to be seeing. But it shows they're having a good time. They were beaten in their last trip to Manchester in the Premier League at City, 1-0 earlier on in the season, but they're having fun tonight. It'll be trippy to put this cross into the box. They've got a healthy amount of numbers forward here, Newcastle. In it goes. Far post, 8 yards out. Header won by Guimaraes, but it's a weak one. And it's collected by Onana. He wants to try and set United away quickly. Rolls it out in the end to Wan-Bissaka on the United right, midway inside their own half. He has to chop backwards and go inside to Amrabat. And the cross he goes to Lindelof. As empty seats surround Old Trafford again. As Fernandez plays down the left-hand side to Rashford. Forward into Reguilon. Back into Fernandez. Midway inside the Newcastle half. He goes out to the right-hand side to Wan-Bissaka. Forward to Mount. 20 yards out. Anthony on the right. Swings it in left foot and no one's there. No one is making a run. Rashford is standing on the edge of the 18-yard box when they need a goal. Erik ten Hag has got issues in this squad. He's got problems big time. This performance and the one at the weekend is nothing short of unacceptable. There's no drive. There's no want to win. There's no will to win. They go behind and it's like, that's it. The end of the world. It's gone. The game's gone. No fight at all. It's just poor. Only very few players on that pitch tonight actually have played like they want to win the game. You know, I know it's 2 minutes to go, you're 3-0 down, you're not likely to get back in the game at all, but at least make the run in the box. When you're on so much wage, you know, these tickets wouldn't have been cheap. Just show some heart and desire. Honestly, United, the last 2 games have been absolutely shocking. Yes, they've come up against good opponent, opponents. I'm not denying that. But, you know, your heart and desire and your determination to win a football match doesn't change because of who you play. United do have possession back. Midway inside the Newcastle half. It's with Bruno Fernandes, the number 8. Forward it goes to Reguilon. Gets the return to Fernandes, who keeps still alive. 25 yards out. Loses it to Bruno Guimaraes and concedes the free kick as he pulls the shirt back of the Brazilian. Again, just more frustration from Bruno Fernandes. As there is so many empty seats. So many. And you know what? You don't blame them. On a Wednesday night, school night, get the kids home, get them to bed. They've already seen enough. Some kids who have stayed till the end do not look best pleased. I'm going to presume there's going to be some boos ringing around as throwing for Newcastle. Lindelof headed away that free kick in the United half. As we're edging towards the 90th minute, then we'll see how much time we get added on, as it does look like Newcastle are going to reach the quarter-final. They obviously got to the final last season, so they would have reached the quarter-final or beyond in 3 of the last 4 seasons now. So they're doing better in this competition under Eddie Howe. As Guimaraes kicks it off Fernandes. It drops to Livramento on the edge of the box. He's tackled. It's cleared up to Rashford. He nods it onto Højlund. Chested down. Gets away from Joe Linton, but not Dummett, whose clearance is quite poor. And Wan-Bissaka's ball out to the right to Antony is so misplaced. Thrown for Newcastle on halfway. 4 minutes of added on time here at Old Trafford. As they have won this competition 5 times in the 21st century. Manchester United in 2006, 2009, 2010, 2017 and 2023. They have won it a decent amount of times. Manchester United, as Newcastle win a free kick on their right hand side with Longstaff, who was the captain for the majority of tonight before Kieran Trippier came on in his 150th appearance for the club. 15 of those appearances have come in the League Cup for Longstaff, as he did score twice in the League Cup semi-final second leg against Southampton last season. As we played a minute and 15 of the 4 added on. Trippier from the free kick, switches out to the left looking for Joe Linton, header won by Maguire on the halfway line. Mount out to the right to Antony, loses the battle against Byrne. It's now Almiron inside to Guimaraes on halfway. Longstaff back to Byrne at left back. Forward it goes to left winger Almiron. Down the line, looking for Joe Linton. He will take it in his stride and he will be tackled by Wan-Bissaka. Good strong challenge there from the former Crystal Palace fullback, who is about to pick up his first ever defeat against Newcastle. Wan-Bissaka, he's played them 7 times previously, 6 wins and a draw. Scored his first ever goal for Manchester United away at Newcastle. But this time he's going to be on the losing side of things. Wan-Bissaka, as they're throwing down the line towards the corner flag, is chested down by Joe Linton. Tackled by Wan-Bissaka. Throwing for Newcastle. As there is so many empty seats here at Old Trafford. They have not wanted to see this game through. They want to get home. Maguire pulls down Wilson, free kick towards the byline. A little bit of erratic defending by Harry Maguire, but what is new there from the former Leicester man? It's going to be a free kick here. Wilson's over it. Only Bruno Guimaraes is actually in the box for Newcastle, and it looks like Wilson's going to send it to the far post here if he signals this and plays it the way he's signalling it. Just over a minute to go. Wilson will play it short to Joe Linton. He'll run towards the corner flag on the far side. He's on the deck, and the last touch comes off Joe Linton, thrown for Manchester United. Just runs out of pitch there, Joe Linton. Throwing down the line by Fernandes, helped on by Mount, headed back towards his own goal by Højlund, forward by Antony. Mount tackled by Almiron, thrown for Manchester United, midway inside their own half. Mount wants to take the throw in quickly, but there's just simply no options. Throws it eventually into Fernandes, back out to Mount on the far right-hand side, back to Wan-Bissaka. It goes back once more to Maguire. 30 seconds left to play, and it looks like Newcastle are through to the quarterfinals of the League Cup. They've never won it before, but this season they've got one hell of a chance. Manchester City are out of it, Arsenal are out, Manchester United are out as well. Mount tackled by Bruno Guimaraes, throwing for United in the final third. 5 seconds to go. Anthony loses out to Dan Burn and fouls him in the process. And the full-time whistle will be blown. Erik ten Hag and Eddie Howe shake hands. And it is a historic victory for Newcastle United. It is their first win at Old Trafford since December 2013. It's only their second win at this stadium since 1973. And they knock out Manchester United to proceed to the quarterfinals of the League Cup. It was the team who beat them in the final. They've now beat them in the fourth round, and Newcastle will be looking to win this competition because they definitely, most certainly can. It's another shocking performance from Manchester United and Erik ten Hag's men, which in his 77th game in charge, they have fell to their 20th loss now, conceding another 3 goals at home. Conceded 3 at the weekend to Manchester City, now 3 to Newcastle tonight. And if they played for another 90 minutes, I just don't think Manchester United would have scored. Not dangerous enough at all. Not giving Dubravka enough to do in the slightest. And Newcastle, who have brought one hell of a following, are going to send those supporters home happy. As Erik ten Hag applauds the remaining supporters that stuck around till full time. But from some of those players for Newcastle, who just don't play a lot of football and who have come in tonight, have played extremely well. The likes of Dubravka in goal, first game for him this season, clean sheet. Emil Kraft, first game of the season for him, full 90 minutes, clean sheet. Paul Dummett, second game of the season, second start, both in the League Cup, 2 clean sheets for him. Joe Willock, who scored the third goal, first start for him, back from a hamstring injury, picked up in May, scored a goal. Matt Ritchie, brilliant tonight, first game of the season for him, superb in the wide position for him. Lewis Hall, who scored the second goal, it's only his second start of the season, third appearance in all competitions, scored a beautiful goal. Just these backup players that Newcastle have got, who have made their squad. You know, on paper they might not look like the best of players, but in this system, the way that Eddie Howe have got them playing, they play fantastically. Big shout out to Emil Kraft and Paul Dummett, the 2 centre-backs for Newcastle tonight, because they're usually full-backs, and they've played centre-half, and they've played superbly well. And they will soak up the celebrations here in front of those travelling supporters in the corner of the Old Trafford Stadium. None of them are leaving. They've brought loads in that corner. They've got the lower corner and a bit of the upper tier as well. Fantastic following. Quarterfinals they go. They'll find out in about half an hour's time who they get in the quarterfinals. But they have revenged Manchester United for that League Cup defeat in the final last season. It's now 2 wins in a row for Newcastle against Manchester United. Beat them in the league at the end of last season in April. And now they've beat them in the very first day of November. And it's just a superb, well-drilled away performance from Eddie Howe's men. He was coming up to a year, 2 years in charge of Newcastle. Signed on the 8th of November. That's his 89th game in charge. It's his 46th victory. They've now scored 147 goals under him. And Eddie Howe is seriously... I know they've got money and they've got backing now, but like I say, some of those players who've played tonight haven't come from the takeover. They've been here for a while. Likes of Emil Kraft, Paul Dummett, Matt Ritchie, all those 3 players who don't usually get a sniff now for Newcastle were here pre-takeover and they've played superbly well tonight. Thanks to everyone who has been here throughout the commentary. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. My next 2 commentaries are both on Sunday on the 5th of November. The first one is Arsenal women taking on Manchester City women at 12:30. The second commentary is at 6:45, where Brighton women take on Manchester United women. So it is a double header on Sunday for women's football. Make sure you come and check the channel out for those games if you want to get involved and see what the WSL is like. It's a great league. Women's football is really improving. It's really getting better. So make sure you come and check out the channel for those two commentaries. At the weekend, we turn our attention back to the men's football next Thursday, where Aston Villa take on AZ Alkmaar in the Europa Conference League. And not this Saturday, the Saturday after, we'll be back covering Newcastle as they travel to Eddie Howe's former side Bournemouth. So that'll be on the 11th of November. So they're the next 4 commentaries on the channel. 2 women games and then 2 men game next week. Aston Villa, AZ Alkmaar, and Bournemouth taking on Newcastle. But that's going to be the end of the live stream and the commentary. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you come and check out those commentaries later on this week and next week as well. But at Old Trafford, Manchester United are defeated by 3-0 by Newcastle, who march on to the quarterfinals. It's a competition they've never won. It's one they'd like to win. They could be favourites for it now with some of the teams that have been knocked out. But here at Old Trafford, it is ended Manchester United 0, Newcastle 3. Two first half goals from Almiron and Lewis Hall. And Joe Willock, with half an hour to go, cut all possibilities out for United getting back in it. And at the end of this game, in the 4th round of the League Cup, Newcastle United are the team to progress to the quarterfinals.